Welcome to our first in-person ARB meeting, October 19th, 2021. This is a hybrid meeting. Don't know how long that's going to last. This is not my favorite cup of tea, but we're going to see how it goes. Thank you guys who are here for being here. We really appreciate it. I think our board works best when we have you guys in person. We can see you and see these tangible things, so we encourage this and not this online presentation aspect. We've got a busy agenda tonight, so we're going to move through quickly. ARB number 23 is leading us off here, Parklands. We saw them last month. They did a great job. I sent them a letter, and they did a great job pointing out every bullet that we gave them in their letter. So if you guys want to introduce yourself again, everyone who's here on your team,
sure,
what your roles are, and then let's go right into the corrections.
Sure. My name is David Ball. I'm the principal of the Monroe Partnership, and we're in Norwalk, Connecticut. Happen to be next door to Matt Popp, who's the landscape architect, and that's our team for tonight. And if it's okay, I'll go through each comment and just explain what we've done.
Terrific.
All right, so the first comment was revise the gables. They feel narrow with too many forced architectural elements in a limited facade. And so,
Please go on mute, guys, if it's okay. Sorry about that.
okay. So the gables in question, what we originally had were these rectangular bays popping out from the facade, and the gables were a little bit on the narrow side. We widened the gables by about 3'6", which gave the proportions of the gables, improvement. And then secondly, the rectangular bays, we made them just a grouping of windows. And just for clarification, we tried a couple things. For example, just having 3 windows with nothing in between, and it just didn't feel right. And so now we've got them grouped together. We feel like we're actually quite happy with the improvement of those typical gable facades. The second comment is relatively positive. The bay elements are successful, as is the curved entrance facade to mirror the entry circle, and we thank you for that positive feedback. The next comment was curved entry roof competes with the sloped roof behind it. Consider moving the sloped roof back out of sight or elimination. So that's referring to the roof at the front entry at the north facade. You enter the site from the north and come in. And we do need all of the gable roofs and the mansard roofs are architectural screens to hide the mechanical equipment. And most of the perception of this building around the perimeter is actually quite tight to the building. This is the one facade where you would actually see it from a fairly good distance. And there's real potential of seeing the mechanical units on the roof if we did nothing. So what we did is we curved the roof. Originally the roof was back and sort of straight across. We curved the roof, and we feel like that actually helps quite a bit as far as accentuating that curved element and, sort of pulling that entire facade together. The next comment was consider an option for a roof terrace amenity. Difficult with extent of mechanical, but something to consider, and so on. There are height restrictions for this building, and if we did a rooftop amenity, that would require 2 stairways and also an extension of the elevator, and that would be in violation of the height restrictions. So that's the primary reason we did not do that. And secondly, we've got a beautiful nature preserve right next to the building, and we also have a very nice exterior courtyard, so we feel like that is a real connection for the tenants to the outdoors. The next comment was a change of material from a consistent story approach would be a nice interruption to break the perceived building mass. Reads too consistent from floor to floor. What that's referring to is the original scheme had on the 3rd floor white trim with battens all the way around the building. And what we've done is eliminated that throughout the facade. And I'll just one thing I want to point out, which is also related to another comment, that we have some of that at the gables where we have on the third floor the white trim, but then in between we do not have that. And a comment that's coming up, and I'll just say it ties in with that to some degree, is to keep architectural interest to the facades. At the infill windows at the base, we have a panel that goes down to the ground. So it creates a composition for the part where there's not an element at the third floor. It sort of ties everything together and creates some architectural interest to those facades. Consider bringing elements of fieldstone to the facade itself. And what we have is at the main entrance, we have a significant amount of fieldstone on the going up to the top of the first floor around the perimeter, and it really highlights that that is the entrance, amongst other elements such as the pergola and the curved facade. And then around the perimeter of the building, well, we have at the courtyard side, there's a couple gables that we also have fieldstone to really accentuate the gable element. And then at the rear of the building, we have fieldstone that really acts as a base of the building. So, the perception is you have a base, very strong stone base, and then the other materials above. So the basic logic of what we did, we think we have enough stone, we think it does the right things for the project, but we didn't want to overdo it with the stone. The next comment is consider some architectural features, changes to tie the gables to the entrance facade. And, we basically, at the entry facade, we've toned down the gable elements. So these two gables originally had bays coming out. We've toned them down and made them more solid as an architectural element. And that also sort of accentuates the curve in between with the roof being curved. So the overall front facade became much more simple. The proportions are improved because the gables became wider. So overall, the other thing that we did is we tilted up the pergola joist, so that sort of becomes more inviting, and that architectural elements becomes a little bit more dynamic. And then the next comment, I'm gonna actually point up. We would like to see ivy planted for growing at the trellises, and basically our response to that is that my firm used to do a lot of work at Yale, and they had ivy all over the walls, and basically they took it all down because it was just destroying the buildings. So we're very uncomfortable with ivy being on a building or even part of a building. So the idea would be that at the trellises we would do planters with seasonal plantings, and that becomes much less invasive to the architecture. But also part of that comment, which I think I can handle, is that there was chicken wire to protect the trees. That's been eliminated. And then I mentioned this earlier about adding an element at the first floor to add some interest. And again, that's at the base of the building. At the base of the building, where the infill walls, we have the panels that come down the ground. It creates a connection with the ground. It adds interest to the facades, and it sort of calms things down overall. And then the last comment is, please bring samples of lighting fixtures and any hardware for review. And Matt, you can talk to that.
I'm Matthew Pop, landscape architect, environmental land solutions in Norwalk. David's my neighbor. I believe we submitted pictures of the fixture we're going to be using, but there's a detail on the plan here. It's somewhat similar to the fixture that's out there now. The fixture that's there kind of has a curved a dome cover to it. This one's more straight. I think it's more contemporary. I think the other ones maybe look a little bit outdated, even though they're kind of new. And I just wanted to point out, in the back here, there's 3 light poles right through here. We're going to have a shield on the back of those so that blocks the light from entering the woods. Currently, the building here, I think there's at least 2 floodlights that flood. The light goes all the way into the woods. Existing, yeah. So, we want to make sure that we get away from that. So again, the detail is here. It's a 12-foot high picture, downlit, warm color light, 3000K. I think the other thing that I just want to know about the vegetation growing up, kind of the trellis in the front of the arbor. The posts are only, I think, about 7 feet apart. So if you have ivy growing on it, that maybe takes up a foot or so on either side. So walking between the posts, it might only be 4 or 5 feet without hitting the ivy. So I think you want it to be comfortable that 2 people could walk side by side without hitting the vegetation. So that was another reason why I kind of thought that no ivy on the post.
Excuse me, Matthew, are the samples here, are these literally the samples, the exact lights you guys are
Yes,
doing?
yeah, exactly the same ones, yes.
And do you have a height on them?
12 feet.
12 feet, sorry, it's not, okay.
Yep. The other thing that was, I think I changed, it didn't come across in, I think, your comments, was up here in the parking lot. I think you said maybe we had all the same pin oaks, and I think someone said that maybe a little bit more diversity, so we changed these 2 trees. I think I changed them to locust, honey locust. So that was it.
I think that's everything.
So,
Great.
thank you for your comments. We actually think there's real improvement of the project because of that.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys gave a lot of consideration to them. So these meetings are a little more informal when you come in person. They should be more fun. We don't have like a structure where we have, people just kind of go if they feel something or thought. So if you guys are complete, we'll open to the floor.
All set.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, go for it.
The only comment I have, I'm Alex Lopatinsky, are on your bay sections. If you can share that image. There was another, no, there's another view. Yeah, the one's on the ground. So right now, it looks like there's just a flat roof at the top of those. Have you considered or put some thought into perhaps adding a roof, a gabled roof on it to give it sort of some context to sort of anchor it?
The one answer about that is unless it was a very steep roof, you wouldn't see it. Because when, you see the building like this, but this is probably 100 feet from the building, which would be deep into the woods with. So the reality is in site plan, you are right up against the building as you come by the base. Mm-hmm. So
you'd see it from you'd see them from the long view. You'd see the side of it.
Yeah. I actually like the simplicity of it. I think it would complicate the roofscape by having the base or a sloped roof there. So I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. I appreciate the comment, but they're effectively octagon bays, and the way the roofs, the right way to do it is you'd come in from the back also with an octagon, and then you'd have a sloped roof coming into it.
Right, but you could sort of fake it out at the back end too.
We don't fake things.
Well, at that height, nobody would see it.
Yeah, I mean, we could consider that, but
just a question.
Yeah.
If you studied it.
I think the one thing is, because of this process, we've sort of simplified the facades, eliminated some things, tightened some things up. And that would be adding some more stuff to the building, and I'm not sure Well, but anyways, I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, there's just a
I
Sure.
have one lighting question. And it's, you said that there was a lot of lighting going into the woods. You know, and that is the fairly dense
that's
woods that
existing.
we're talking about. And I'm just sort of thinking about, is that gonna go off at night or will the
No,
animals be upset?
Well, currently,
In the woods,
currently,
weird things.
that's existing. There are existing fixtures on the building. They're massive floodlights that shine in, so that's existing.
And that
Okay,
goes,
what we're proposing is, there's 3 poles in the back here. There's actually already light poles back here, and they're gonna be shielded, so the back side, so no light will be going into the woods.
but that's done all night. Just during, I mean, at night too, about 3 o'clock or all night going into, it doesn't, I was just curious. It doesn't matter.
I would think, that they probably would stay on all night.
It
You know,
seems
back
like
there, yeah.
from a security standpoint.
They want it.
Yeah, because the traffic comes around, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So if there wasn't that much traffic, I would say, maybe they shut off at 10 or so, but,
Okay, well, just a question.
yeah.
Another quick question on that parking area. That's public parking, or that's parking for entering Selleck Woods, or would that be associated with 3 parking?
There's currently a small handful of spaces, like 2 or 3 spaces that are technically public parking, and then the rest is for the office building.
Okay.
What we've done is that pretty much that entire row becomes public parking for access to the woods.
Okay.
And the other thing we've done is, we've added, at the entrance to the woods, we've added a gazebo element, which you'd see, I think you're gonna see that, at least on the aerial pictures. So we've really been working closely with them, the leadership of the land trust, to, improve the access to the woods and, make it a little bit more accessible to the public.
I'm sorry, what is the purpose of the gazebo?
It's really signifying this is the entrance to the woods.
Oh, to Selleck's Woods?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
My question, Rebecca Morrison, ARB. My only question was looking at the details of the building. It seems to me that the windows in the patio doors are very residential, but the common area doors and windows are very commercial. And it seems like there should be some sort of consistency there, because it just seems glaringly obvious that the quality and the feel is not the same.
There's a practical reason for that, and that is that the entry doors and the amenity doors are heavily used. And so if you purchased even a very high-quality residential door, it would wear out in a very short amount of time.
Could it be paneled? Could it
But
be-
no, what we're showing on the elevations is that we will have muntins and, break up the composition of those, so it's relatively similar.
It just seems like there should be like a transom above or a panel or something that isn't so simplified that it looks so.
Yeah. If you look, the best place, that is a picture to give you a clue about, it's basically a commercial style window.
Sure.
But if the elevation pages or, probably on some of the renderings, you get a sense that we're breaking up those windows, so it would not be.
And the doors, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, these don't
Oh,
have
okay,
any,
okay, there's a transom there, okay.
but these, are these just a one single full white or storefront assembly here then? Next to where it says Selleck Woods?
Yeah, I'm not. That's where we are at the moment too. The lower portion is quite open, and that is just trying to make a better connection to the outside of the building. It's conceivable we could introduce muntins on the lower elements also.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, maybe just some sort of more solid panel at the bottom to ground it a little bit. I think it's a really good point. I would second that to be a little more consistent with the rest of the windows. Speaking of windows, I would reiterate one of the comments from last time, which was considering true divided lights for the windows, for the simulated divided lights. especially with the amount of patterns that you have, I think that might go quite a ways. to
Yeah, it's-
Helping the integrity of the design.
We've spoken with the window manufacturers at this level of quality and commercial level. That's a very unusual thing to do. And I would be concerned, the one we have to be worried about are there leaks and that type of thing. And they're very reticent to provide that for this type of project.
Well, I think that current definition of true doesn't mean that true mutton that goes through the glass. It's applied on the outside, but you
Yeah,
can
that's
call it a true divided light. I don't think you're compromising the quality of the window at all.
I'm talking, let's say if a window is broken into 4 pieces, what a simulated divided light means, and I'm not trying to,
No, it's okay.
but that means there's a white mutton on the outside, there's a white mutton on the inside, and there is a metal strip that goes in between.
Right.
And so what you see, unless you're really looking close, it sure feels like the real thing, as opposed to, you see a lot of buildings that are not so much, and you see a mutton that's on the inside, and you see the full pane of glass on the outside, and we don't want that. But interrupting that pane of glass with a true mutton is not,
Yeah.
that's very unusual, or, the window.
What I meant by true is applied to the glass instead of inside the glass.
Right.
No,
That's-
we're speaking on the same sheet of music,
Okay,
then, yeah.
sounds good. Just while I'm commenting.
Are we singing on the same sheet of music?
Reading the same sheet of music.
Sounds good, I got your music. Yeah, I think the increased width of the gable ends certainly helps. I think I prefer, what you've done where we're removing, the banding that's pretty consistent, that was pretty consistent on the 3rd floor. Still feels like there could be 1 or 2 places where you could break up the elevation to, kind of define smaller sections of the building in a couple areas. I think probably mainly, this facade here, which looks like it's over the entrance to the garage. I don't know whether that's going to be a highly used entrance, but if it is that an opportunity to play with the layout of the windows and the facade design there to, again, kind of break up what is right now, a pretty commercial looking elevation. But overall, I think the improvements are a good step.
I keep on going back and forth about how the fact that the front, you did a really nice job about adding doors with trellises to a patio, but in the rear, that whole thing is missing. And there isn't a section or anything detailing what the drop-off is. And not knowing the space as well as I should, whether there's an opportunity to take some sort of a balcony or an overhang or something and open up that back a little bit more, because when I look at those in the rear, those apartments in the rear, some of them obviously do have patios. There's like 1 or 2 that are right at the kind of that are jutting out, but the rest of them do. So, I mean, to me, even if I was to be a resident of that building, if I had first opportunity, I'm obviously going to take one that has access to outside space and not one that's completely, you're stuck inside. So it seems that you could add some of the features, like Dave was saying, that are captured in the front of the building to the rear of the building. Like just grading the land piece.
Yeah, a couple comments. I mean, we maintain this rectangular bay for that reason. We are fairly significantly bound by coverage requirements. We're within, 15 square feet, not even. So adding balconies is not something we can do. What we do have, which seems fairly quiet, but at the bottom of the building is the fitness center, which large glass windows. We added a separate elevator to get to there for the tenants, and that goes directly across the way to the gazebo at the entrance to the woods. So we really made a big effort of connecting those two. As far as, adding interest to this, I understand what you're saying. It's a little bit, plain. I'm not quite sure, within the limits, perhaps we could take this guy and move it up and put a gable element on it or something to that effect to add, some breakup, but there's some limitations to what we can do.
Make it a double wide, bay end element instead of just a single. And I think what you were referring to is, the back of the building with the orthogonal bump out to, instead of that being a window, it's a door. And again, we don't know what that room is, looking at the floor plan, but is an opportunity to, improve the usability of the unit and then also change up that facade just an extra level.
Right. We could look at that.
Extend the trellis so that it went over and connected to the other side.
I don't know if I want to add trellises along the bay facades, more or less the west facade. I think that would complicate the architecture. It's conceivable we could make one of those windows a door and add, a flat patio, which is what we did at the corners.
Okay.
You just have to look closer at the ground, yeah.
You guys, in sake of keeping this meeting moving along, does anyone else want to weigh in, give these guys some other direction? I would not like to see these guys back. I think they've done a great job incorporating ideas, so I think we could give them stuff to take with them and consider for the final design. Do we have support? I think you guys are onto something here. Marion, Sherry, Alex, anyone want to add to this? Like, throw out some other ideas, design thoughts for them to...
I still think you should break up that plain area right there, maybe with white trim around the windows or something. Just looks so commercial. I don't know what, some horizontal trim or something, because there's that.
Right. I mean, that may be a case where we reintroduce the white up high.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Like you have in the center? I don't know, but it just is a box to me.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but you don't want a box. You want to do something to make it look, I think, a little more interesting. And anyone else thinks this way?
I agree with you, Marion, I just don't have an idea.
Well, but there's trim on the windows in the center. You could do that, what about something horizontal, going across so you don't have that big 1-3 solid thing, There's a little trim already under the one window, so you could make it white or something, so it would break it up a little more. Maybe it is, it just looks like the color of the brick.
Right. I mean, well, we had, certainly we had this around the entire building, perhaps. We put white down low, just.
But it doesn't stand out so well in the picture. Now, maybe it does, but if it would break up that facade a little bit if you had it brighter white or something.
Where would you put that?
Well, I'm talking about just under the window, on the two ends, under the first window, under the roof. Go to the roof, and then there's a little horizontal
Right, we have
underneath the window. It's a trim of some
Oh, just
sort.
add another band, a horizontal band.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a horizontal band there, right there.
Yeah.
And that would break up that sort of solid, boring.
So are you
looking
saying
thing.
send that
Which is what
across?
you had originally,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so they addressed the horizontal band that went across the entire building by
Okay.
breaking up and creating
So
some
if we did the
verticals.
white here.
But I think what we're recommending is to look at that center section and perhaps break it up a little
On
bit
the-
more.
Yeah,
the
I
end-
understand.
talking
And
about
actually,
the end sections.
perhaps if this was a white band across here, for example.
Well, it's the end parts that.
And it kind of goes back to what
most.
we had, but we had it everywhere, but I think that would,
Yeah, maybe that's the one
That's-
place you kind of.
Yeah, can you keep it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that makes sense. We
I'm
could do
talking
that.
about the end pieces, not the center. That's what bothers me more than anything.
Well, the one thing I would say though about the end pieces is this is really the side of a fairly strong gable end. And so And these windows, by the way, they're big windows, they're 3 foot by 6 foot windows. They're at the side of the living room, and then you've got a triple window at the end of the living room. So on the inside, it's terrific, lots of light. But this will be perceived more as a bay, or a bay element. And I understand, you know, it's kind of the view you're seeing feels kind of flat, but I think the way to handle that is to add the white across.
I would also
It was sort of-
consider something vertically over the garage opening, and I don't know, maybe it doesn't allow itself to line up perfectly where the garage opening is located, it has to be that exact. But I would look also at vertically, not just horizontally.
Right.
That one bay, it's just the fact that it's slightly off center of the opening, but I was just looking at the plans and it gets into the parking garage
Yeah,
layout.
yeah.
You know, how much can that
Yeah.
shift, or do you do that as a double bay? I think that's a 1 bedroom, so like the bay maybe occupies those 2, you know, it just becomes wider, occupies the 2 windows in the center portion, so that it maybe balances out the facade above the entry. But then we're getting into adding more elements, and I think one of the things that we were having issues with before was too many elements, and
Right.
trying to pare it down. So, but yeah, I think the asymmetry of that one bay is a little tough. It's just having tough competing with some of the other
Right.
elements.
And that's where, and again, we're brainstorming, but I think by adding the white here, it would sort of tone it down a bit.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would be,
It would
Yeah.
also
that would be my one
cap
comment.
the double height triple window section. If you add that
Right.
horizontal, that'll put a lid on
Yeah.
that, so it'll make it feel like it's
Right.
surrounded somehow. right?
That's fine.
The ends, you mean, not the windows?
No, Mary, this section here, no, there-
No, this is the one that we're talking
So,
about, the bottom.
if you brought a line across,
I think also-
it would
Yeah.
put a lid on
And to your
this.
point, like all these views are as if you're like standing in the.
Yeah, this,
You know,
I mean, you'll see this facade, but you'll be,
No, I can't.
frankly, focused more on your car at the moment, but yeah, this is,
It's more of a contrast.
and actually, that's why we have the other views deeper into the set of drawings of kind of how you can really see this place. Keep going, one more page. So that's kind of, the more squares you use, the 4-foot page, that's more how you'll perceive this building. Okay.
Guys, I think that's a good brainstorm. Do you need to see these guys back, or do you trust what they do? Would you like to just see final PDF courtesy? They'll send it through and we just know what it is for our records? Does that work?
Just as a record copy.
Fantastic. All right, so it's a favorable report. We'll get a letter into you guys.
Great.
These
I'm sorry?
are different examples. These are for the,
Those are the materials for what that's about.
Matt,
Yeah.
can I get your last name again?
It's ball as in
No,
baseball?
I got, yeah,
Oh,
I got,
okay.
Pat,
POPP.
P-O-P-P,
Yeah.
thank you.
That was an easy one.
I like it, could have been one.
and Dave Humphrey, can you pass around their samples, just like, as we forget? Last with your samples,
So-
guys?
Let me just save you some arm strength. This is the stone.
Okay.
You don't have to, it's fairly heavy, but this is real stone.
Awesome.
It's up in Westport, Gulf Stone, right up the highway. And we've used this on, and this happens to be a corner piece, so for outside corners, we've used this on multiple projects, and it's really
This is
very nice.
That's
stone
nice.
on the corner.
And then this, I think you don't have to pass around also, but this is, it
Yeah.
happens to be, that is the color we're using.
Okay.
And beyond that, this is color number 1, and this, so this would be the gables, and then this is the infill. And aside from that, it's AZAC
Okay.
and cedar for the
Thank you for
color.
bringing those. We really appreciate it.
You want me to,
Yeah, if we get, if you guys want to see, I wouldn't mind passing around and giving just for the
It's
record.
not, this isn't a white
it's
brick,
hard to
right?
recreate in the computer,
This
but
isn't a brick, right?
no. So that is,
No. What's the
This.
white color?
More cream.
and the bays, the bays and the infill walls is this. So I'll pass these around. Thanks.
All right, that's great. I of course can pass around, no more comment, but thank you guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Okay, we'll get you a letter. You can work with Dave Keating here. If you have any questions, Paul in the meantime. All right, guys, as you can finish passing that stuff around, we're gonna move on to number 24. It's a continued conversation about the Norton Heights Shopping Center. Is Bob Maslin in here still? Did he say that? Oh, yeah, it's Maslin, okay. This is the Palmer's development, as you guys know. One thing worth noting, by the way, you guys, I spoke with the Vaqueros after we had our meeting, and they had said that the large parking structure they were going for was actually, they're trying to get the sense of a large barn there, kind of like what you see at Ox Ridge. You know how we reviewed a large Ox Ridge barn, it's gray and very traditional, it's a sporting barn, not a small, a giant display barn. So I thought that was interesting feedback. I don't know if they're gonna bring it up today, but that was part of the idea they were going for there, as we were dancing around with those awkward pillars and stuff.
The proportions are.
Yeah, so
It's a very horizontal box, they're trying to apply it.
to something interesting. Okay. Hi, guys. Good to see you in person. So John and Joe, you guys are just sitting, listening for the most part? Okay, I like it. All right, Bob.
All
Do you
right,
remember how to do this?
no. I want to click the microphone in the.
Oh, yeah, it's so refreshing.
Where's the button?
Can you, for the record, you are on TV, for the record, and for our note taker, can you give your name and also say who from your team is here tonight?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all in person. My name is Robert Maslin. I represent the attorney representing the applicant, Norton Heights Shopping Center, Inc. So, to my left, your right, John and Joe Vaquero, who are among the principals. Greg is here somewhere. Who's back there behind Greg Palmer from the Palmer family. Phil Cerrone is
Right here. Right here.
oh, he's just hidden on the floor here.
Practicing his squats.
And he's the architect, and Matt Pop, you know. So what I thought we'd do is have Phil go down your September 23rd, 2021 list of comments and go through the boards and talk about the comments and what we've done to address them.
Okay.
And we have a whole set of bricks and materials here. This e-filing system is interesting, and I'm still getting used to it, but we e-filed updated perspectives and updated sheets, which I see full size here. I think everything was distributed. There's also a handout with pictures of perspectives, like they're computer-generated perspectives. And there might be one or two additional that Phil has. So if that's okay, we'll get going in that.
Yeah, let's just go over the changes. We remember it seemed like it was just a week ago.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Philip Cerrone. I'm the architect for this project. My office is in Fairfield. So I'm just going to kind of walk through your list from last time. The first item was to basically revisit the parking structure. And the first couple items are the parking structure, particularly the columns, and there was also previously columns about as you entered the parking structure. So this is a rendering that shows the parking structure kind of from the plaza area. And you can see we've done a bunch of different things. So the first thing we did was we took the roof line where these columns used to go up before, and the columns were all concrete. We've changed the columns to a wood material. We've carried the roof all the way through. And then, although it's not on your list, it came up at the meeting last time, was this whole area over here. And what we did was we listened to all your suggestions, and one of them was to put a trellis across here. So we did add the trellis there. Another one of the comments from last time was this whole area, and try to make it a little bit more of a focal point, because it's what you see as you drive in and as you're in the plaza area. So what we did was we opened this up. And although you can't see it on the rendering, that area there is actually public plaza space on the inside there that people will be at. So we opened it up on the top here, we added the trellis, we opened it up on the bottom here. Then we also added the trellises across here. So we tried to incorporate some of the things that were suggested at the meeting last time, and although my clients haven't been the easiest people to deal with, we finally convinced them to do some of these things, so. I'm only kidding, by the way.
I know. I don't think people missed that joke. I didn't see them laughing back there.
That's all right, as long as they pay the bill. Then the next comment was about the whitewash brick. So we do have brick on this building here. We don't have brick anyplace else on the site except for, well, I'm sorry, before we finish the garage. This is an elevation of the other corner of the garage. And although it's not directly mentioned on the list, there was comments about how we had developed that stair tower. So we kind of redid that. We added some more wood into that area over there too. Before it was, if you remember, it was all glass, basically floor to ceiling. It was a metal frame. Now, although it's still a metal frame where the windows are, we broke it up and we did add some wood in there to try to tie that together with the rest of the project that's over here. So back to the brick. We have whitewash brick on that part of the building there. The only other place that we have brick, and this kind of ties into the next comments about the corner, and none of the buildings that are adjacent to the garage have brick, only the one that's the garage itself. We have brick on this corner over here, so that's the corner that's on the corner of Hollow Tree and Heights Road. And that's our plan right now, is that's more of a red brick. And I know you wanted to see, we did draw the elevations from the Hollow Tree side. And honestly, what we did was we went out and we took a photograph of that side and we put the parking garage in it. And as you can see, you can't see the parking garage unless we cut all the trees down over here. The parking garage is right here, and it goes behind these trees that are over here. So this is, everything from where I'm showing you here to the left is actually what's there. All right, we photoshopped it in. This is our building on the corner, and then the rendering I just showed you is the rest of the building. Comments about, so from the north. Yeah, I know I have this rendering. So from the north, which would be from West Avenue, we didn't want to go on anybody's property, but this would be as if you were standing on the property, it's adjacent to our property on the north side. And so we have it's pretty heavily landscaped on our drawings, and it's going to be, and Matt will talk about the landscaping, but you can see that we're about halfway up, and we'll show you a section in a second. We're about halfway up the second level of the parking garage at grade. We don't have any openings in the parking garage on that side, so you wouldn't see any of the cars, you wouldn't see any of the headlights or anything like that. And then you'll see the one level of residential, which is above the parking garage. I'm going to skip past a couple things that Matt will address, like the sidewalks and the trees. So then the other thing was to address kind of the whole plaza area, and Matt will tag on to this when he comes up here in a second, but we did open up this whole area in the middle here. And this is a little bit better perspective of it. So what we did was previously, we had a small stair on this side, a small stair on that side. And we tagged on to what the board had sent us as a, kind of a illustration of an idea last time, and opened up the whole center section of it. And so now we have one stair that's in the middle that opens up the whole plaza. When Matt shows you the landscape plan in his plans, you'll see that a little bit better. But I think that's going to draw people into here that much better. Before we had a wall here, and so this way the whole main sidewalk will open up into the plaza area there. I'm going to let Matt address the lighting and some of his other things on there. This is a rendering from Heights Road. Again, none of this really changed from last time. This is basically what we've always had there. This is the driveway that goes through, but kind of just to reorient you, this is the area here where you drive through. Then again, although it's not on your list, I know it was a comment last time and a request of a section kind of through the site. So if you can see it on the bottom here, and I don't think this is in your packet, but this is West Avenue here, right? And so we kind of just blocked in a house, it's not the actual home. But you can see this line here is the grade, and then this is the wall of the parking structure. This is the rooftop of the parking structure, which is the residential area. And then grade, once you get down onto our site, basically goes pretty flat across till it gets to Heights Road. It slopes down a little bit, but not drastically. So at this point here, and this is basically where that rendering is taken that I showed you, at this point here, and this is all, this area here is going to be all heavily landscaped. This is a retaining wall which becomes the back part of the garage. And as I said, we've kept the back of the garage solid so that you won't see any of the headlights, you won't see the cars. The end of the ramp, as you're coming up the driveway into the garage, there's going to be a wall there that's going to be about 5 feet tall. So you won't see any headlights that are coming up on the ramp either. So we feel like we've concealed all of the vehicles from these people that are living back here on West Avenue. And again, there's a retaining wall across the whole site here. At this point, it's a retaining wall with parking underneath it at the bottom of it. Over here, it's the back of the parking garage. But so we're basically built into that hill there. So from where a grade is, we're not, we have a two-story garage, but 2/3 of the garage is built into the hill. Trying to make this as short and sweet as I can. We can go through the samples if you want. We dropped off samples of all the different materials and all the different colors. They're all color coordinated with these drawings, so the drawings call out all the different colors and the different materials. As you can see, it's a combination of asphalt shingles for most of the project, some slate shingles, which are simulated slate. We have the whitewash brick, the red brick. We have a couple different shutter colors. I didn't give you the black ones because I figured we could all figure out what black was. We do have a sample of the aluminum. The aluminum will be all the storefronts. So all the commercial spaces will be aluminum storefront. And then the residential windows will be a clad window on the outside. The drive-it, there's two small locations on the site that have drive-it, which we can point out in a second if you want. But there's very, very limited of the drive-it. So with that, I'd like to let Matt just talk about the landscaping and the other things, and then we can answer any of your questions.
Good evening, Matthew Pop, Landscape Architect, Environmental Land Solutions. We're in Norwalk. We've prepared the landscaping plan. Just going to go maybe talk about some of the same things that Phil noted. The main, I think, design change was in the courtyard here. We originally had two narrow staircases coming up, and we opened that up to one wider staircase, which I think is a great idea. One thing that does, now having a staircase in front of the storefronts here and here, if you have a restaurant and people need to sit outside, there's no conflict of people walking up the steps and bumping into the chairs. So now it's one kind of, let's say, grand staircase coming up to the water feature and the focal point here. So again, I think that was a major change that we did. Up in the back, we have, let me start around here. We have a green giant Arbor Vitae, provides screening, fast-growing shrub, they're resistant. And back through here, we have, again, more Arbor Vitae, spruce, and American holly. And some of those trees back here, I think, are much larger. That's in the rendering when you walk back here. This area back here is it's pretty thick in vegetation. The lighting, we're using the same light pole as last time. Kind of, it's on LP2 is the picture of it. Just it's two different heights. There's a 14-foot maybe around the perimeter of the site, and then we just dropped down to a 10-foot height when we're in the courtyard area here. We do have a foot candle plan. The fixture, back through here, this will have a shield on it, not the shine light in the neighboring property to the south, actually to the west. The color temperature of the fixture, again, 3000 K, downward pointing. We did change, there were some, I don't know if it made it into the minutes, but we originally had pretty much all pin oaks in this area through here, and we changed this walkway through here with the wide landscape strips on either side, changed that to lindens.
Those are on our our parking tree landscape list?
Yeah, I'm surprised that pin oaks aren't on there. No, they're they're pictured, when you look at them, there's pictures of pin
They're
oaks.
pictured on there, in Old Darien?
Yeah, and it's like the nicest picture I think you have of a tree, is the pin oak, and it's not on there. And a lot of the trees that are on a list, they're not native, so try to maybe keep with the native ones. I know in Greenwich, what they're trying to do too is, they're using some species that grow a little bit further south than here. They're thinking about climate change, and maybe over time they're more adapted, like willow oak, so things like that.
Interesting.
So again, some of those that are on a list I probably wouldn't use again, because they're not native, and some of them are a little bit invasive. So that's it. Again, major change right here. I think the steps, I think that was a great suggestion. So.
All right, what do you guys think? Alex, you are the one behind the stairs.
I think that made such a big difference.
Oh, it did.
It made an
Yeah.
absolute, it's gonna become a great community space. People are gonna hang out there. It's gonna add a lot of energy
Yep.
to the community spaces. It's a great opportunity for doing other things on the property, whether they are concerts or, discussions, a book club thing.
Yep.
It's just, it's great.
It's a very good idea.
I think it was nice. Well done.
So
Well
thank
done.
you.
I love the curved stairs too.
I'm just struggling to get a sense of where all your bollards are. And I asked this because we kind of screwed this up with Federal Realty's job. We didn't look at it too explicitly. and I don't-
Mainly bollard lighting's just right in here where the kind of the crosswalk is. Just wanted to have, some additional lighting right in there, so.
So I could, on your plan, I didn't see the plan where it explicitly put it out, so there's like 6 of them?
No. Maybe there's 8 of them.
Okay.
No, maybe there's 6.
It's only within the site in the walkway area,
Yeah,
not along.
just at the kind of where the crosswalk
Okay.
is.
The height on the bollards, those are, you said you had 10 foot and 14. The 10-foot lamps are within the courtyard.
Yes, and the bollard. Oh, yeah.
That's a good question, Dave.
No,
Yeah, the 6-foot bollards.
yeah, 44 inches.
44, okay.
So,
And that's,
yeah, so it's a little high, I would say, but, but,
About this side.
yeah.
okay. And then I kind of continuing the lighting discussion, I see on the one rendering, you do have exterior sconces on the parking structure. I believe they look like they're in keeping with the lamps, they're the same wood style as the lamps.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the idea, is that we're gonna use the same fixture, basically the same top fixture.
Try to get on the microphone.
Okay,
I thought my voice was on. Yeah, it's basically, we're gonna use the same fixture for the sconces as we're using for the lamps, it's just a smaller version of it.
okay, yeah, just clarifying. And those are, but that being a parking structure and that being kind of a public space, so I think this kind of, we touched on this in the last presentation, is those will be on like 24, throughout the night, just.
Well, yeah, I mean,
In terms of-
these right here, they're basically right along the driveway there, so there's gonna need to be some light, but it's low-level light. Those are completely contained within the site, because
Got
there's literally buildings on all sides of it, so.
Okay. And I think just general comments, I think the facade is definitely improved. I think the strategies you use to break down the scale a little bit are nice. And I think the stair tower is to my mind, the biggest improvement in terms of the structure itself. Because it does, while I get the intent of going industrial, if you were trying to bring this sort of more, barn sort of element into it, I think this response is more appropriate with the rest of the architecture around it. So I'm okay with that. One question on the, in terms of the planting on the north end, your site section showed the ground sloping into that retaining wall, and then it's heavily planted. What considerations in terms of drainage, and are those plants really tolerant to being in a more wet environment? Because that is going to be kind of a natural area of collection for rainwater.
I would think like above the wall, we want that to be pretty well draining. So I would think that, I would probably be concerned maybe the reverse, not being moist, but maybe being, too dry above the wall, because again, you don't want any water collecting above behind the wall.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like with any drainage structures, that they need to be maintained and will get silted in over time. And, I just have a little bit of a concern.
Excuse me for a second, but what we would do behind the walls, first of all, we fill for several feet back and all the way down to the bottom with gravel. Filter fabric, wrap it so that it doesn't get clogged up really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like working as a French drain, and then at the bottom, we would have some pipes that would take all that water out of there,
And you're
so.
pulling the trees back a few feet to keep. the-
Right, exactly, and we don't want water collecting back there anyway,
No, neither do I.
especially once it starts freezing, then it's gonna move the wall, so that's gonna be constantly drained out of there, for sure.
Okay.
And,
Because
I understand what's on the
that's just gonna be all
section here.
passive drainage coming
Right.
out of there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that whole hill slopes. So here we have, we're just taking a snapshot of it, but that whole hill slopes as you go east to west.
Okay.
So if you were on the site, it's much lower here. I think
So
there's,
the drainage is being.
yeah, from this
out.
point here to this point here is a pretty serious amount of grade change.
Okay.
So naturally, water's gonna run along it anyway, so.
Okay.
I had a couple material questions. First, wanted to say also, I think the changes you've made have been really, really good.
Well, we took your guys' ideas into it, so that helped us a lot, so.
You don't always have to incorporate all of them, so I think we all appreciate that. The stair, obviously, I like the addition of the trellis at the garage, the change to kind of those pilasters or columns where it breaks below the roof line, I think is good, and also the change to the stair tower that Dave pointed out. I guess a couple material questions related to those. Do you happen to have a sample of the wood kind of paneling or siding?
We don't have a sample of that. I mean, I honestly couldn't get my hands on exactly what I want. We want it to be kind of like a barn board siding, right? But I want it to be a composite, and I could have given you a piece of actual wood, but I'm trying to find it as a composite material, but the best explanation I can give you is that it wants to be a barn board siding.
Okay.
But like a brown, it seems like the rendering is on the brown gray side.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then I guess within that color palette, do you happen to have the metal roof that's noted above that?
We do have a sample, there's samples of the metal roof here.
And then also the iron gray, I assume that's.
Yeah,
up
so
there?
this is the sample of the metal roof.
Okay.
Standing seam.
Standing seam.
Okay, so it's a little bit more of a gray than a brown. And then what's the trim on these columns or pilasters now?
Well, so the trim on, I'll go back to the mark. So the plan just is that we would stain, again, this is gonna be all kind of barn board. It's just gonna have a darker stain around the perimeter more, but in the brown family for sure. Kind of, so the idea would be that the barn doors and the trim on these columns would match.
Got it, okay.
What are the elements on the standing seam roof white? What am I looking at there?
You're looking at the apartments that are set
That's
back.
behind it, okay,
Right,
that's what I thought.
so to try to keep the mass of the building down in the front here, this is really just 2 stories, and then we set the apartments back
Okay.
from the facade there.
Yeah,
So this actually, on the street level here, where the parking structure is a lower scale than the buildings adjacent to it.
that's what I thought, okay.
I have a comment about the proportion, I guess, of the articulation of the garage. It's a very horizontal box, and I know you've broken it down by adding these wood pilasters and the arched opening, and I understand sort of the character wanting to be like a carriage house. There's something about, and I guess looking at it, straight on, it wants, that middle section wants to be broken up a little bit more. It's, to me, seems very, very stretched out from an articulation. However, I don't know if you'll ever see it straight on, right?
Well, I don't think you will, and I mean, this is kind of a view from the other angle,
Yeah.
and, so it's getting broken up with the stair over here, and the pilasters do break it up, because they are proud of the building about
Right.
30 inches.
Oh,
So,
that much, okay.
yeah, they are about 30 inches, and they're structural, so we need them there, but they are pretty proud of the building. So, and I think that, look, it's a parking structure, right? So we've done our best to
Make
try
it
to
less
dress it up,
opaque, yeah.
right? And the roof across the top, I think, also breaks it up, and the trellis, which was your guys' idea, also breaks it up. So I really, candidly, and there's a lot of openings in there, and on the ground level, so if you're there on street level, it's really mostly open on the street level, right?
My reaction is really more to that second floor articulation of the windows, and I'm just getting stuck on a detail. It just seems very long to me.
Right.
And accentuates the rectangularness, and I know it's a parking garage.
Right.
But it is also a residential environment, right? And so it's there. You're going to have pedestrians walking along it, and when they look up, is there some interest at that point? The other piece to this is I appreciate where you change the materials on that stair tower. It still feels like it's an appendage to the rest of the architecture. So to me, they feel disconnected. Sorry, Dave.
That's all right. No, but it needs to be there too.
No, I'm not
I mean,
suggesting it goes away.
This is the stair tower and the elevator, and so
I'm
it's the mass of it's gonna be the mass of it, and we
True,
tried to
but-
break it up the best that we could there.
Color.
But you've got some elements already on the parking garage that maybe you could tie it more closely. I know it's hard because of the scale, so it doesn't look cartoonish, but it just feels that it's a separate building that's not connected to the garage.
Well, it's not, so
Maybe it's
that's an
so
interesting comment.
Maybe.
It's a separate element, so actually, we could say that we've accomplished what we wanted to by showing you it's a separate element.
Yeah.
It's not a separate building, but it's not the parking structure,
Yeah, but
it's
it's
the
just,
stair and the
it's just
elevator.
so different characteristically from the rest of the development.
Understood.
I keep
No,
on
just-
going
that's
back to the fact that it should be dark in color.
Maybe it's just about the color of it.
It's the color,
Make it go
it's
away.
so pure white.
Yeah,
compared to everything else.
yeah. Yeah.
And I also think that the detail of the windows is really modern compared to the rest of the
Well,
structure.
that's, yeah, it looks different.
It looks odd.
Yeah.
It looks disconnected.
Anyway, never mind.
Just lastly, because we did it, and I think we showed this to you last time, this is the amenity space that's up on the parking garage level, which you really can only see from inside. That's really surrounded by apartments, but it kind of just gives you a sense of that whole space. So,
One other question,
that's right here.
the shutters on the rest of the buildings, wooden shutters,
There'll be wooden shutters.
Yeah, no, it has to be open, that's a question.
Is the wood on the barn doors on the first level of the garage, is that going to be matched anywhere or in color and style?
Well, it's gonna be this color here,
That is matched to
that's the idea.
those doors, okay. Same exact type or just matched in color?
Same material and color.
Same material and color, okay.
The doors.
The barn doors on the bottom, they've got
And those are stationary, right? They're just decorative.
same along the bottom.
Yeah. You can try to
Or
push
like,
them,
you
but
know,
Yeah, they got them.
right.
no, they're not going anywhere.
I've got, if we're moving on from this thing, I got, unfortunately, unfavorable comment about this material you have here, the faux
Which material?
stones. I saw them today, and I'm really not a fan. I don't know if you could pass that around.
Which one is it? The
These
slate?
guys, the slate, thank you. I understand why you're probably doing it for cost effectiveness. Is that,
Well, yeah, so,
you guys want to pass this a little bit?
yeah, and I think that,
I'm struggling with it.
yeah, well, first of all, I think that you can't look at it, you have to look at it from there to here.
Right.
Because nobody's climbing on the roof. And so the closest you're gonna be is 20 feet away from it. So when you look at it, and you're looking at it on an angle, candidly, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of these composite materials. I happen to think this one in particular
Yeah. and
looks
it's like-
as realistic as anything you're gonna see. And I will tell you that if I got 50 people to walk by there, 50 of them are gonna think it's red.
we just been
I like
looking
your
at this
confidence.
and-
I'm that confident,
and,
right.
you know,
We
we're kind of
used
coming to
the same thing in
Yeah, good.
1958.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference.
It's like 10, 20
It's
miles
actually-
from the road.
Well, it's like a
Those are
plastic
good.
composite, or
Okay.
there's certain, I think with Da Vinci, you
Sorry,
guys.
couldn't hear.
What use is it as well?
It's a little
1020
thick for
Road,
slate.
that's
but
a
it
1020
looks
restaurant,
like-
that's fake as well.
On the roof of 1020?
You can't.
When he says fake, he means they're
The
composite.
composite, yeah. Interesting.
The thing is, I mean,
I think
you
it's a
know,
lot, it's mostly.
it stays, it's more durable than some of the natural materials, and the problem with real slate is you have a weight issue mostly.
Right, okay.
I mean,
But real
From
slate
from an
is
economics
thin.
point of view, these aren't necessarily that much cheaper.
Okay.
Do they have any composites that are thinner? Because real slate is not that thick. But do they make any composite
From a
slates?
structural standpoint, they're so much better.
100 times better,
Oh, I
because
like the
that's the big
composite.
issue with
It's so
the
much
real slate,
lighter.
it weighs too much. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't do
Well, I
it.
like the composite slate, but I think it's too thick.
No, that's pretty
Actually, that particular.
illustrative of real slate. This is about the same thickness as a piece of real slate.
Well, depends on, not mine.
But we appreciate your comment. And all your comments.
Anything else, guys? Dave, Mr. Riley, are you
Yep.
looking up something?
I'm looking up Da Vinci to find out. the-
Oh, okay, good.
My personal opinion is Da Vinci makes the best of the synthetics, whether it's this or the wood ones. They have the most realistic looking ones.
Look at Echo Shape too, they're close, but I
Which
think
ones?
Da Vinci is Echo Shape.
I actually have their samples of the wood ones in my office. I haven't seen their slate ones, but I'll
I
take
just got some of their stuff. I think the Da Vinci's are a little better, but they're pretty good too.
All right, guys, so any other comments? I believe if we have favorable report on this, this is the last time you will see this until you are driving by and you see the structure going up. So I want to make sure you look at it now. So when you come back to the
I would really like to see that stair tower, just, maybe it's just colors, to tie it closer to the garage, so it doesn't look so disconnected. That's my only, I'd like to see that again before it gets built. Even if it's a
Okay.
PDF
Yep,
that's
okay,
issued, you know,
okay.
with the.
Matching a color would
Is-
take away from.
Is it a matter of the shade or hue?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bright, right? And if you toned it down, I think you had a great suggestion, if you made it darker, it would disappear.
That's what I thought.
It's like, if it was the same color as the wood on the side.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, so
that-
I think unfortunately, whether it was my guys who rendered it or if it was just the way we printed it, the idea is that that wood really is supposed to match the wood on the other
Yeah.
columns. And so we would be happy to take that suggestion and make this wood match what's on those
Right, so
columns
what about
with the
the
color.
color?
It's the white, it's the white of that
It's the
wall.
whiteness.
Is
The
that,
brightness of it.
It's the
It has
wall,
to be
it's the wall that's
the
solid.
side wall. It's
Yeah.
too
Right, well,
bright.
okay, so that just has to do where we put the sun, to be honest. I mean, because when we do the renderings, we can put the sun wherever we want.
Is
is
that
that
the-
Ephes or is
Is
that?
it the
No, this
same
is brick.
color?
This
Is
is
it?
brick.
So that's the whitewashed brick?
Yeah.
And that's
Got
an
it.
exposure.
Right, and so you can see, you know, the sun is over here, right? Because you can see the way the shadow is.
Oh, so
We
that's-
could have done it with the sun coming this way, but then this would have been all in shadow. So we
Okay.
took the rendering, we can put the camera wherever we want it when we do, it's built as a computer model, right? So, but the sun is shining down on this, which is why it's washed out. We're happy to give you that back with the sun at a different angle or on a cloudy day.
So it's a whitewashed brick that we're looking at.
So if anything, very good in
Yeah.
the direction.
It seems like the windows, the type of window and that solid, like how can you, like, it doesn't match an architectural style to the rest of the building.
Right, but it's a stair tower and an elevator, and so it's not, it's hard to treat it exactly as you're treating other elements, because it's a completely different type of element.
Personally,
So the idea was to treat it as a different element.
It being that different?
Yeah, because I think it is kind of because it is a standalone element, I don't actually read it as something wanting to connect with the rest of the building. I see it as a kind of a standalone structure.
I agree with that, it's just, it's so different.
Yeah,
It's so, in character and style. It's
I'm
just
thinking
so
of in
different.
New London, when I would take the ferry up to Block
Along in
Island,
Finland.
there's the parking garage that actually has a very similar stair tower on it. That, and in that part of New London, there's a lot of historic kind of buildings and everything like that.
That's a good.
And I personally thought that it worked, because it was slightly different. And if you're trying to dress up a stair tower, which, you're gonna be struggling, fighting against, matching, an architectural style of either the residences or an architectural style of the parking structure. I don't think you're gonna be successful in either case. So, with that in mind, I'm trying to look at it as this sort of independent element. I think maybe the elevator, if anything, maybe that, rather than being brick, perhaps gets the wood facade to kind of dial that down.
And that's a separator between the tower
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
garage.
yeah, that's where I would think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
changing the
Yeah.
material,
Some-
rather than that being this big brick piece, perhaps that is the element that gets,
Yeah, I mean, our idea obviously was to use the same materials
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
use in our place.
Yeah, I understand. So, I'm fine with whatever you do. I think, I'm less objection, I'm better off with this. I think this is an improvement from the first
Oh,
one.
I agree,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I would not have a real issue if that's what was put in, but I'm totally cool with your comments too. I think that's very good. Your points are very well stated.
I think it's a little bit of matter
I
of,
haven't been convinced. I'm sorry?
it's a little bit of personal
Yeah, yeah.
aesthetic, so it's
yeah.
not really, it's
Yeah,
not a good
subjective.
concrete, yeah.
You come up with the windows for garage over.
What do you mean?
The elevators on where it's set back,
Mhm.
and that solid wall, can it have some of the same elements that's on the front?
Oh, I wouldn't, you mean that side?
That's where the landings are of this terrible.
Is it?
On the solid, the west wall, the.
Over here? Are we talking about here?
No, the next one.
This one here? Yeah, well, yeah, that's where the landings are on the stairs.
There, okay. On the, then
Rebecca, you
the flights are
suggesting
going where that solid
The
brick wall.
fan goes around the corner?
Something to break it up.
Then you would see the flight of the stair going
Yeah.
across the windows,
Well,
which can
that's an
be
idea.
interesting as well.
It looks like there's also a little bit of banding that spans from the garage over the stair tower.
Maybe not the whole.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want, honestly, we wanted this to be solid here. We're trying, it's kind of anchoring the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
think I'm okay with
it doesn't
that.
want to really have
Yeah,
any more
yeah,
glass
yeah,
in it.
okay with that
Yeah, I called it the stair.
And what's going on the other side of the ramp, the on-ramp to the second floor? Is this all underground? Is this being underground, or is it being shaded, or is it material?
Screen.
Oh,
So along the edge here,
The ramp, the side of
Yeah,
the
she's talking about
the
right
west
here.
side of
Right
that
here.
ramp
Side of the rear.
right,
that faces residential. So you're
right, the side that
between
faces
there.
on Hollow Tree over there, that's landscaped right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
and it's just screened with landscape, but
Yeah, it did.
what you're saying is you actually would see that as a.
That's what I'm wondering, like how much would you actually see on that ramp at some point?
Oh, right there we have the green giant arborvitaes, which grow, 30 feet eventually, pretty fast growing. So,
What size are you putting them in? When they go in, what size will they be?
75 GG.
yeah, they're about 6 feet tall. So we could up those if you wanted them on that side.
Right, but so 6 feet tall is gonna cover automatically more than at least half the ramp.
So, and they grow, a foot, 18 inches plus a year.
Yeah, something, right?
Yeah.
I said maybe it's a tree that goes on that side that.
So that looks like the drive is right up against the.
Well, no, yeah, and this is, I mean, here's the edge, the
Yeah.
the driveway going up is along the building.
There's not enough space.
There's not
for
enough
that.
space. Okay.
And honestly, that corner, you're only gonna see if you're only gonna see it if you're in the site over here, and
Yeah.
that's hopefully a play area, so.
I mean, I'm just
You're almost
thinking,
never gonna see, the rendering we showed you is hardly gonna be seen from any place.
yeah, I'm just thinking of the residents there. I mean, I know there's, I don't know how occupied are they, but 6 feet over a couple of years, I mean, I probably would like to see more like 10 feet there, quite honestly. I mean, those are houses right there at backyards. That's a pretty heavy.
This one right here?
No.
No, there's
This
usually a pickup truck there, even though the front porch is falling off.
There's someone that is yeah, there's a night, there's a man.
Right, so to your comment, I mean, for the first part of the ramp here, it doesn't probably get to 6 feet high till it's about halfway up. So, look, if you wanted us to plant some taller ones as you get to the higher part of the ramp, I don't think that anybody would oppose to that.
Put in 9 footers.
Yeah.
So, again, they grow quick,
Couple
so.
years to grow. If they like their location, they can grow 2 to 3 a year.
Yep.
That's the sunny side. Sunny side of the street.
All right, guys, you ready to see this thing go up?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
and I guess we're letting the stairs go, right? Came down to opinion, and you guys are all in agreement that you like it as is, so it's your,
Let it
your,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Oh, there's one other thing that, and here we go. You haven't seen this yet because we're not done with this. It just has to do with Goddard. Not the facade of the buildings or any of the other things you've seen so far. There's a play area with a fence around it, and Matt's pointer doesn't work here, but it's right back here. And we haven't reached the point where Goddard has settled in with the developer on what that fence is gonna look like. I'm sure you're interested in it, so just, I'll talk to Dave Keating about bringing it back to you at some point. And the other item is, they have these combination of licensing and corporate requirements for security around the perimeter of the building that consist of bollards, which are disguised, they're like hidden in 4-inch posts, basically, with possibly some fencing to fence in a walkway that is up against the building on the Hollow Tree Ridge roadside, and we're not sure what's gonna happen over on the Heights roadside. So those are the only two things left.
That are not
It has
mentioned.
more, it has to do with just basically fencing with
Okay.
these little bollard things built in. It has nothing to do with the rest of what the project looks like. So
More safety oriented for.
they're safety, they're regulatory. And I wanted to mention that because I know the last thing you want is to have something go up and then say, hey, wait a minute, what's this?
Right, yeah.
Like other projects
Well,
that,
you'll send that through P and Z, maybe through Dave.
yeah,
Where's time?
we'll talk to Dave about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Once we get down to where we're settled on it.
That's
But that's
great.
Goddard, it's not
Yeah.
on the Roten Heights
Maybe
Shopping
they'll-
Center per se.
I would assume they bring that at the same time they bring their signage, right? We can look at it
Yeah,
all
we can do
together.
that one too.
That's
sure.
a good idea.
All right,
Great.
perfect. I wanted to just mention that so nobody's surprised.
All right, great.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys. The town will be excited.
Do you want to keep the sample materials, or do you want them to take them?
Do you guys need samples or can they take them? Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can just bring all the samples.
Gonna get tagged.
Thanks, Dave, I wouldn't have thought that. You're like, I don't need more samples if
No,
I
I
can do this.
don't need more people either, so.
This was working before, right? What's working before? Let's keep that.
I just, minor detail, just look like this is actually
Alex, this one senior staircase idea come in.
Yeah, that was such a brilliant idea.
Really, I've done,
Yeah, literally, everybody made that there. So it's gonna be another spot like Grove Street Plaza.
Yeah, exactly. Terry Professional Building, same?
It was like the TKS, the stairs and.
exactly, like that, yes.
Big
Yeah,
hanging.
it's just, it's great to grab a sandwich or grab scones.
Yeah,
I mean,
sit
look
on
at
the
Spanish
steps.
steps, right?
That's exactly what it is.
The original.
I think that's-
All right, how are you today? All right, guys, let's do it.
Okay.
Moving on, we got ARB number 25 here. This is Darien Professional Building at 106 Norton Avenue. There at Norton Avenue and Maple Street, which becomes Height Street, if you go to the police station. So hi, welcome.
Hi, I'm John Massari from Accent Signs and Awnings. And basically, we have a exterior tenant directory. The whole thing will be an AZAC type PVC with surface vinyl lettering. The background will be 3/4 inch, so we can put 1/2 inch raised panels on it. There won't actually be an outline on the panels, that just shows the edge of the tenant panels. And they'll be held in with brass screws at each end, so we can take them out. All the tenants, nobody will have logos, everybody will have the same letter style. The longer names are gonna have to get condensed a little bit, so the shorter names don't look too small. There'll be PVC posts with caps, 4x4s. We always put internal 4x4 pressure-treated posts in and set them in concrete. Will be 2 feet off the ground. This will be a sign, a double-sided sign on two posts, on 3 posts to get better visibility. And it will be 20 feet from the edge of the sidewalk in and 6 feet back. This is actually a little bit off, it's going to be farther back because when we looked at it, these signs are competing with it and we wanted to move it off the edge so we had better visibility so it didn't block anybody's view. So I went out there and with the landlord and we both felt that 20 feet off of the edge of the sidewalk was much better.
What's the size of the letters that you put out? I'm sorry, my old eyes are failing me here.
So all these letters are 2.5 inches.
All 2.5 inches, and each of the plates, the tenant plates are, what are they, 3 inches in height total?
No, they're approximately 6 inches.
That's 6 inches high, each of those plates. Okay.
Gives it a little more air.
Should the address number be on there? Is it 102, 106?
It's 106.
106 on there somehow?
I could add it. There's a number on the building. You know, I'm just trying to get everybody's name on there. And save some space, but if you want it, I will put it on there somewhere.
It's a confusing corner.
Yeah, I think it would help to have a building.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing I see is that the application, the original letter says the sign will be black with 2.5 inch high letters. So isn't the sign?
Did I say the sign black on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
did.
must have misunderstood or mistyped it. It's gonna be a white sign.
Okay,
Black.
so yeah, I just would say just change that in the application.
Is there any lighting on this? Is there any need for lighting?
There's no lighting as of now. If you'd like it, I'm sure the landlord would be happy to put it in. I don't know if there's any electrical out there.
You'd only use that building in the day, I think.
Yeah, that's why I asked, if there's a need for it. If
And
not, then-
there's a hideous post sign on the side, which is coming down.
You're not gonna like me, but I don't like your location of this. I think it's very intrusive. I don't think it needs to be on that corner. I think it could be a lot further inset onto Hedge Road or whatever that is, like near towards where you drive in. Like that's there, like grabbing everyone driving the entire town Darien. I don't think it's probably your decision, maybe it was, but why, I know why the landlord probably wanted to do it there. Can you show us the site map again? Go back to that and let us look at that.
I don't think here.
There you go, yeah.
So you want it over here?
That would be my, and it's
Well,
not,
that's where the curb cut is, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's
as
where
you're,
you get into this, it's a parking area, you have to go through that
right,
entrance.
that's where people are slowing down and starting to look like where they're.
That's a better place for it.
That's a busy, crazy corner.
it is.
Yeah,
And I don't think you'd see this, I mean, I
No.
think you'd be by, past the sign before you realized what it
exactly.
was.
What was the reasoning behind putting it right there?
Well, I think his idea is that most of the traffic is over here. I mean, there is traffic here going to 95, but there's a lot of traffic here, and I think that, you know, people looking for the building.
I think you'd have 106 in the GPS, and you'd make the turn, and you'd look for a sign, and
Yeah.
you'd pass the sign
Yeah,
already.
I agree. I think it being, the sign being closer to the curb cut into the parking lot would be.
So you want it here, there's two driveways here. You're looking to
Right.
have it here
So there's
between the two
another,
driveways?
there's another driveway.
There's a
curb cut.
driveway here, and
Yep.
then there's a driveway back here.
Yes,
And you're looking to have it here?
Dave Humphrey, can you pull up on your screen if you do this?
Yeah.
Dave always
I
pulls up
think
his
most of
screen.
the entrances are on the upper side of that.
Yeah, I mean, good idea.
You always pull it up, show us the
Yeah, I mean,
entrance.
it would make sense.
get exact.
Because it'd be centered on the building. You're coming from either end of, Hecker.
Hecker,
Yeah.
Hecker.
And it would just, it anchors the building too. It says you've arrived.
It would look,
Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense to be out there. It doesn't connect to the building at all.
I agree.
It's just-
Right.
Uh,
the biggest
Well, the only thing I would
traffic is
say
on the
is that
outside.
this is the front of the building, I believe, 106 in Oroken, isn't it?
No,
No,
No.
you
No,
you
it's over
enter, yeah, you enter actually on the other side.
the
isn't it?
upper side is the main entrance.
Yeah.
Because that's where you drive in with a car on that far side. That's where everybody comes in.
That's, yeah, that's.
And that's where the sign should be, in a way, that entrance right there.
Okay, so am I gonna tell the landlord that we have no choice? I have to ask.
Yeah, we're not gonna give you favorable until you move it.
Okay, so
Hey, so can you pull it out?
you want to move there?
Yeah, just.
Okay.
Well, no one's gonna, that's not an entrance that anybody uses, but I guess it looks better for the street.
Well, it needs to be by an entrance that
Well, that's it,
somebody's
the
using.
entrance is on the far side.
There are two curb cuts. My doctor's there, so I know. I've
No,
been
I
there.
go too, I
Right.
go there
So,
once in
so
a while all
I
the
actually
time.
come in on one curb cut and go out the other curb cut where
Well,
the
I come in
entrance
the
is.
outside.
But there is a middle section between the curb cuts that
Right.
make, it would be logical to put the
They're not gonna argue with
directory
that.
there.
And right now, there's nothing, is that?
There's a very old directory, dilapidated, that we want to get rid
And-
of.
Where is that located?
Don't you go in?
That's
the-
in, that's where we're talking about,
outside?
in between those
The
two
upper
curb
side.
cuts.
So you've got
This
that
would be a
main door?
direct replacement. if- if
Yes.
that's
They drive
the
in.
case.
It looks like we've got he's got a sign there already.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
a-
it's-
I live in
yeah,
that.
it's
Can
an
you guys
old
see what
directory
this is
sign.
here?
It's like an old brown sign.
it's
So this would be a lot more visible and.
It's on this side of the first curb cut, the sign. Yeah, it's probably hard to see.
You know, yeah, I can't see it.
Would it need to be single-sided then, rather than V, or?
No, but you could do double-sided, you know,
If
you
you
could-
coming in from one
Yeah.
side or the other.
Okay.
If you,
Double-sided would work well, because you
oh,
get.
I see it, it's tiny.
You see?
Yeah, it's a little like monument sign.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to say it's about 4 by 6.
Yeah.
It's pretty sizable.
And that's being removed.
No, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely, that's being removed.
No, why not just replace it?
Replace it, yeah,
Yeah,
replace it in
that's
the
what I
same
think, the exact
location.
same look, because that location, it works.
But you have a double-sided, you mean, so coming each direction.
So now, we
Right.
Yeah,
so you want a double-sided sign on 2 posts, not, he's got this on 3.
No,
On
I
3
think-
posts.
I think what
In
you're
the
saying
V.
is the same sign.
yeah,
3 posts.
In the V, we're okay?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that you can see it coming either way.
Right.
Okay.
So it's
Why would you
parallel
have it
to
in
the
a V?
street?
What's that?
Why would you have it in a V?
Just for better visibility when you're driving.
Yeah, what's the point of the V facing the building then?
Yeah, like in
Well,
that
the
first
V-
location, it made more sense.
The V would be,
It seems like it should just like,
the
two,
V would be here,
yeah.
giving a little better visibility as you're coming up and down the street.
So you're talking
I vote for
at
two.
an angle to the street, not parallel to the street?
To what?
2 poles versus 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a single sign.
Single-sided, you're not, yeah,
I
not
don't think
angled.
that gives you.
That's what's there
Parallel
now.
to the
Parallel to the
street.
street, yeah. Parallel or
So
Or perpendicular.
perpendicular to the
Perpendicular.
street and have it double-sided, so it doesn't matter where you.
On 2 posts.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Okay.
Whether it should
Yeah,
be
Mary, yeah,
perpendicular.
perpendicular.
On 2 posts?
Yeah, that would be, I would prefer 2 posts.
You put it in the center, but have it perpendicular. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the logic is you get the location and then you're wondering, oh,
So
which
now
one
you have
visiting
2
here?
signs to
And
make.
you're looking for a sign and you're not gonna see
Yeah,
the
what's-
sign that's around the corner of the street.
Well, you're gonna have 2 sides.
Also, at that point,
Two-sided.
you've slowed down, too,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
going on to Hector.
He was doing
you're
two-sided
not, like,
before
where's
anyways.
mine?
Oh,
We're-
no,
we're
that's
not-
Oh, yes.
We're not the road, what is that? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
Okay.
So I'll resubmit the drawings to Dave
Yep, and I'll
with the
pass them
placement.
on.
Yeah,
Okay.
with those
Okay.
changes, it'll be good if you just submit him the new change, a new drawing, and do a new site plan for us. We
Yep.
can
Absolutely.
make sure that's accurate. All right, and no lighting, you said. If he wants to do lighting, you guys are welcome to, but it needs to come back. Let us know what
Okay.
you're doing, and you can submit that at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, very good. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for waiting through this. Sorry, it's a long meeting tonight.
Okay.
All right, guys. Sweet Green, you didn't give up.
Never.
Good job, guys. ARB number 27 here, guys. Sweet Green. This is the common Federal Realty's first tenant coming to us.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I work as a design manager at Sweet Green.
Lauren, can you give us your full name for the?
Kenoi. I want to apologize.
K-E-E-N-O-Y.
Yeah, Kenoi.
Thank
I
you.
am still transitioning from a virtual world to an in-person world, so I don't have the large printouts. Everything that we're presenting is in the packets that were submitted to you. I live locally, I live in Fairfield, so if there's anything that I can get you or drop off later this week, I'm happy to do so. So we are here to present our building design and our signage, all of which falls within the design guidelines that were given to us by Federal Realty. It's my understanding that they've presented these guidelines and they've been approved by you all previously. So I guess we can start with
What were you told was approved by us previously?
just like the sign package, the parameters of where our patio can fall. We worked within the guidelines that we were given, so.
In the case of the Sweet Green's location, when they presented those elevations, that was the one facade that was kind of blank, where, it was a DVD, just as a little background, at least from my recollection.
What was it? I don't remember.
Last month.
Where the location on the Sweet Greens, when looking at those elevations, that particular corner location was more of a blank.
Meaning no material selection for the
Yeah,
storefront?
it was to be
The white box,
determined by the
white box, right.
tenant, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how familiar you all are with Sweet Green. We're mostly in the cities, but now we're branching out to the suburbs, so we're a fast casual restaurant concept. We specialize in salads and grain bowls. We really try to bring communities healthy food. So we do this by localizing everything from our supply chain. We also take a very localized approach to our designs. We try and really work in the local vernacular. So that's what we've done here. So for our storefront, we are proposing a white painted brick facade, and then the window framing will be, it's an aluminum storefront, but it's clad in a white cedar. And then for our signage, we have 2 Sweet Green signs which fall within the allowable letter height. They will be illuminated during the day. They have what's called a day-night film. So they will appear green in the day and then they'll be illuminated a soft white at night.
All night long?
We have noted that we cannot illuminate them after 11 p.m.
That was a good answer. Very good answer.
And then our blade sign is non-illuminated, so just the two main signs on the two storefronts, yep. We have two entrances proposed, a double door entry from the main drive aisle and a secondary single door entrance from the parking lot on the plan north side of our space. We have a small area for patio seating. We'll have two tops that will be enclosed by large concrete planters. Since we're in a kind of cold weather climate at certain times, this will be a seasonal patio. And then also on our facade, we are proposing a pickup window, which is, we've executed a few of these, but this is kind of a new COVID consideration for us to keep our customer flow and just general health, safety, and giving customers and delivery couriers the opportunity to pick up outside without congesting.
Do you have printouts
our
of those
space.
windows, the specifications and the materials for that counter and such?
We
Yeah, it's actually all the way.
don't have it in here, but I can get it for you.
Yeah,
It's like the pickup window is integrated into the storefront, and then we use this perforated system that kind of like opens like a garage door and clips in to signify when it's opened or closed, and then we have a
I'd to see what that looks like. You can get that to us.
Yeah.
Any materials as well. If you're
Yep.
gonna use like a cedar counter as well or something there tied in or.
So the perforated system folds up and forms the counter.
Oh.
So it's a metal.
Oh, that's interesting. Could you
nice.
share a spec sheet on what that is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Else. I think that covers it for,
Is there any,
The exterior.
like if I'm eating, I'm excited about this restaurant, because I definitely need stuff like
My
this.
daughter's so excited.
Very
delicious.
I would assume though that, you know, a night like this, you might be open till 8 o'clock at night. Is there any exterior lighting? Because I don't see any.
we are actually open from, our city stores are open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm not exactly sure what the suburban store hours will be. We don't have any lighting planned. It would, as of now, it would be whatever streetlights are provided by the center.
I would just think that that would be something you might go back and ask whoever you need to ask. 'Cause
Okay.
it seems like you guys would be open to the point that you're gonna need it, so it seems like it should be shown.
Okay.
So like, yeah, if there's some pole lights along this area.
Either ask Federal Realty or
Unless there's.
or figure it out.
Yeah.
We can also show those exterior lights to you as well too,
Yeah.
just from the development
I
standpoint.
just don't know if it will be enough, so.
Yeah. Are you
that's
thinking
my
like goosenecks or something, you know, like a up, down, or?
I don't know whether it's a gooseneck lamp or, lamp or something that's on that wall so that it lights up those tables, so that if I'm eating it.
You're not sitting in the dark.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also at the pickup window, you gotta get a nice little pool.
Did someone show us one time too, they had like an underlit under the umbrellas, they had like I think it was a finite umbrella, or finite sort of system there. Like it wasn't as removable, like it was there for 6 months and like their umbrellas had some sort of nice lighting under them, so it wasn't.
Yeah, they're like.
It was very
Yeah.
smart and it kind of seemed like something like that, I mean, the gooseneck wouldn't go with this design, right? This is like more of a
Yeah.
contemporary design, but like, I think there's some
We have-
smart options.
We have it at home.
You do, oh, you do?
So go to Nod Hill Beer Garden and they've got.
Very good.
Okay. What is the material of the door handles?
It's a white powder coated metal, and then the center of it is the white cedar, so it matches the rest of the
Okay.
system.
The white brick facade system that's noted by GC, an artificial brick that goes over, kind of where the line where piers are. Is it something that's kind of a standard system that Sweet Green uses in facades? Or?
In the past, we've done like a briquette veneer system so that we can get all the waterproofing and materials underneath it. And then we'll apply the briquette, which they actually have a sample of it before. I was like, hey, can I keep that? And then we paint it a white color.
Wait, so Dave, it is
Like a brick veneer and then it
It is
gets
a
painted
veneer.
white.
A thin brick.
I assume
Yeah, it's thin brick.
it ends up looking like it's actual real brick.
Anything else, Marion?
I think it looks good,
It looks great.
yeah.
Okay.
It will be a very popular place, I'm sure.
Good, I'm excited. Yeah, no one's more excited that they're coming to Fairfield County than I am.
That's great.
When are you opening?
Hoping to open around this time next year.
Okay.
So,
One thing to note on the fact that it does use the brick and it is not, it's not the storefront system that is typical on the other lower floors, which I think it's in the case of this, because it's a corner, it actually really helps anchor the corner of the building. But that's just to Federal's point in terms of the kit of parts and, then leaving it. I think this is a perfect example of what we were talking about last time. This is a tenant coming to us individually to review the facade design. In this case, it is not according to the kit of parts
Right.
that we approved for, do we approve? We can get into that. For that presentation. I have no objection to this. I think it's like I said, I think it really helps anchor this building. But this, I think this is to that point of what we were discussing last time. So it's worth noting.
No, it absolutely is. And I think with seeing this now, like, I think when people come in, they'll have to see the pieces all together. Now, when we see next to it, we need to see it with the white brick. And then the
Exactly.
brick. I mean, it has to keep building on
Yeah,
each other.
this needs to be added to the palette that Federal
Right.
is using.
And
Yeah.
you absolutely will. Right, that's the whole point. So
Okay.
I'm Julie, you guys. I'm the
Julie.
tenant coordinator for Federal, so
Oh,
you'll see my
fantastic.
face a lot.
Great.
So I'll help guide and coordinate all this process for
Julie, what's your
everybody.
last name?
Awesome.
Brock, B-R-O-C-K.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's the whole point, and we will show you the building palette of this as tenants come in, we'll drop it in, so absolutely.
Great.
That's great. Okay. So you guys have a favorable report, but I'll send a letter, but we still need to see you guys bring the window pickup sheet, spec sheet for that, the details, and any talk of additional lighting.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, so I did write down the type of sign is that changes during the wall sign. What did you call it, type of sign?
It's their channel letters, but we use a day-night film on
Oh,
the
okay.
face.
Okay, got it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All good, guys?
Okay, good.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay, so I will get a letter out to you guys. We'll go to Dave Keating. I'll send it to you guys. If you have follow-up questions when you have those additional materials, send those to Dave Keating. He'll make sure we get those and over email, and that should be good.
Okay,
Great.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for running through, guys.
Yeah.
I told you when you showed up it was going to be a long one, sorry. All right, now, when an ARB member comes into Squeak Green for the first time, we say we're an ARB and we approved it favorably. What do we get?
We do tasting days when we open, where they donate salads and they're doing all these testings. So once we get our construction graphics up, if you text those numbers, it'll give you information on like when you can get up your salad.
I love it, all right. Good to know.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
Have a good night.
thank
We'll
you.
see you soon.
Okay, bye. All right, ARB 28 is landing on post. I feel like this might be Kevin Kane who's online. Here we go. Kevin, are you there? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since we were on.
Patrick, Canadarian, Sean Brown. Okay, so we've got no one else here online. ARB 29, evolution physical therapy, I feel like that might be Kevin Kane as well. I'm having a hard time, so I'm pulling up stuff here. And then ARB number 30, Darien Place.
Yep.
Also Kevin
Yeah,
Kane
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
All right, preliminary discussion of CKC Salon. Kevin Kane on that? Any record on that? I couldn't find that.
I didn't see that.
Okay,
I don't think we distributed it because he knew he would not be able to be here.
okay,
And he had some more materials to get and to submit. So we didn't even bother to bring it to you. So maybe we'll send it out to you via email, and if you review it and comment back as far as things that,
Who is that?
is it going in the right direction or not?
Who is that we're talking about?
This is the one called KC.
Yeah, right.
CKC, yeah.
KC. I just
What is
wanted
that,
to-
Dave?
It's taking the place of the salon,
Right, okay, so that's not here, so we
Across
just have two
from-
more, yeah.
across from the bagel place. The salon is in Dulcetti's building.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
hey Kevin, I'm at the ARB right now, and we have 3 agenda items that have you on it. Are you presenting tonight or not? Oh, you're here? Oh, we're down by the gym. He's here. It's all around the corner by the gym. Okay, I'll see you in 1 second. Okay, you know, Kevin's actually here, guys, sorry. I know there was a quick excitement there that we're all done. It just shortens the
I was
November
just
meeting.
about to delete all those minutes I had already.
Sorry, let me see these. Hi.
So we're doing landing on post now. Looks like John McCarron.
Everyone got excited, we were going home.
I was watching on TV.
Oh, you were out there.
Sorry, that's a sit there.
All right, come
Am I
on.
ready?
Yeah, you're ready, come on, up on the podium.
Hey guys.
I know it's unfamiliar format here, like we haven't been in this in a while.
Yeah.
But, so, okay guys, we're gonna jump back here a second, back to what we just said, which is ARB number 28, landing on posts, 1897. Kevin, take your time, I don't mean to throw you off, but.
No, it's cool.
This
This
is
is great.
Okay, 1897 posts, so, introduce yourself for the record, and your company, and then.
Okay. Oh, hi, good evening, I'm Kevin Kane, I own Hungwell Signs, and I'm here to propose a post and panel sign for landing on post. The new building being put up on the post road. It's exactly like the one we did for, I think it was Village.
Villages on Post?
Village on Post, exactly the same, but it's a single-sided sign. We're just trying to keep it uniformed. Our position, I spoke with John, I think we're going to try to, I'm not sure whether it matters where exactly it goes, but we're, in the picture exactly is what we're proposing.
On the
If
corner,
that's okay,
like,
yeah, on the corner.
angled.
Yeah, if that's acceptable.
Do you have a street number on it?
Oh, this thing is so tilted.
It's a good point. I feel like the other one doesn't. I feel like Villages on Post just says Villages on Post, and then it has a hanging sign that says parking and rear under it.
Well,
Remember
I don't know,
that?
maybe we should be consistent, I don't know.
Because I think the Vaqueros has addresses on their buildings, so they, and it's multiple addresses.
Well,
That's why too.
1890s, oh yeah, I don't know what they figured out for this, because
I also think that the
1827 post,
1897?
27. I have here on the application, 1827 Post Road.
That's,
Is that
would
correct?
explain
It
why I
says
can't look it up.
1897, yeah, on the post road.
Okay.
But maybe he doesn't mark it, I don't know.
I mean, I think it should match the other one. That's kind of set the precedent.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, the only difference is we're not putting the parking in rear underneath this sign like we did for the other one, that's it.
Will there be separate signs for the parking eventually? or-
No.
No.
And
The
is there,
parking,
is there any lighting for the sign? Is
No.
it- No.
Are there tenants in here yet? Or do you know who they're gonna be?
No, I don't actually, no. I'm not sure.
and there's parking in the rear, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned that to him, whether or not we'd like to put some indication of where the parking is, but I don't think we've gotten that far as far as proposing something like that.
And it's the exact same height off the road? Do you have the
Same,
spec-
yeah.
Do you know what that is offhand?
Oh, the distance off the road?
No, like the
Or-
height, the whole sign dimensions.
Yeah, I have it down here, it's 36 inches to the top, from the grass to the top.
Okay.
Exactly the same as the other one.
And how
On this drawing, you have signage putting right on this corner, I mean, in the, you see that?
Yeah, that
What's
was-
supposed to be? Is
That's
that
from
gonna be up?
the architect originally drew that. That's the original architectural drawing.
So that's gonna be landing on post, you're gonna have some sort of a line, same sign there, or is that?
No, I think that's
Did we
what,
just take that
Photoshop
right
it out.
out?
yeah, that
Okay,
was,
so we just take that out?
yeah, that's not gonna, that's
Okay.
just what it's gonna, where the signs will go in the future.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I knew we'd done this sign before across the street, but I guess for us, is there guidelines to determine at what point you can name your building?
You're gonna point out,
I mean, does everyone get to name their building now if it's like one little thing or one big, and just throw it out there?
that's a good point.
I don't
That has to come
necessarily
with
object to
planning and
this,
zoning,
but-
I think, they have to have some say in that, don't you think?
Yeah,
Because they get their permission
Well,
on the
they're allowed
building.
a monument sign either way, right?
yeah, they are, but, you know, it's funny, when they came to us though, I thought that they proposed, they were saying like, this whole section would be called Villages on Post. That they were setting this up as like, those buildings to all be connected, like they wouldn't each be their own entity, to your point.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good point, like,
There was they're
it seemed-
naming a whole building without, you know.
Right.
And I think planning and zoning gives you the permission for this, maybe we have to work with them, Dave, about, do they get permission for naming, and who is the one that gives the okay on how they're gonna name it?
well, I mean, I think we can make a recommendation on it. I think let's discuss right now, do we like it? Do you like that? I mean,
So how is it different than, let's say, the Federal Realty development or David Genevieve's development, right? They all have names too.
But I think there's how many,
Oh, but they don't,
you know, if it's only 2 storefronts, right?
But isn't this gonna be a multi-tenant
yeah.
building?
But 2 or 3 tenants,
But-
right? Like, what, how many people are
but
gonna
David,
share
but David
multi-tenant?
doesn't have a name
I'm not-
on his buildings. He doesn't
But
identify them.
his place has the place
Yeah,
has
the
a
whole
name.
thing, the whole development has a name, but not just
Wasn't it the
a set
Corbin
group of
building or
buildings.
Corbin place at one time? The old building, I guess, just,
I think that's like a 20.
So are we saying then that there's a threshold, you know, under a certain amount of tenants?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did like if it were Villages on Post, I thought creating a space up there was kind of a cool idea, but not like renaming it, like, I would be, so let me just say it simply, I would support if it was the same name as Villages on Post across the street, if it was like this, like, because I think they're trying to develop a whole town up there.
I think they're trying to give destinations, so if you say you want to meet at Village on Post, you're like,
You go
which
to that
Village on
building.
Post?
Well,
You know,
It should be Village on Post North, Village on Post South.
you should have the same name for all of it, is that what you're saying?
That's kind of what I originally thought it was, and I bought into that. I mean, I could be one otherwise, I'm not like,
Well,
I think
but they're
it's
two
less
separate.
confusing having 2 separate names.
okay.
And they're
And they're
opposite.
related and
They're
on post.
Right,
That's
right,
kind of
right,
the
exactly,
problem.
that's what I was gonna say,
They're-
one's white, one's black, I get it, like Billy.
Yeah.
But they're opposite
Using
sides
here.
of the street, aren't they? They're not really connected that all, so.
And they're
We-
down the street.
that's why we try to keep the shape and the
Yeah.
lettering the same, and the colors.
So
Well,
that
I-
ties it together.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's not, I like having names of a building like that, frankly. I don't know, does other
Okay.
people?
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind it, it's just, again, what happens if next door wants to call themselves the Stores on Post, you know?
But it's not next door, it's across the street and down the street.
No, but let's say the shoe store that's across the street from Villages on Post is then redeveloped into 2 tenants and they call themselves the Stores on Post.
I know, well, this is why I think we have to have some regulations.
But that's like what we just saw with that one medical building at Heights Road in Roten. The top of the sign was called Deering Professional Building.
Right.
They named it.
Mhm.
I noticed that, I was fine with it, but then it had the
The tenants.
10 tenants listed underneath.
Yeah, But
I
there's
think
no
there's
intent.
10 tenants.
Right.
Like, it's not 2 stores.
Right, so
I
how
think-
subjective, like, yeah, like.
I think John's gonna wanna have his tenants, gonna have the signs here, and they're gonna kind of,
Well, I think they'll probably do the exact same signage on the building like they did all his buildings. He does those box, like, I'm sure, I have no doubt there'll be that.
he's
Yeah.
gonna have them
Yeah, there's a
matching.
pattern to that,
Right.
Yeah,
because-
exactly.
If you're
That's
allowed
the
a monument
architecture.
sign, just take that place and then he's just choosing to put
That's
on
right.
that monument sign landing on post instead of 2 tenant names.
Right.
That's right. I actually like the simpler,
But
that's a simpler thing than starting to list all the tenants out.
Well, I think it's much
Especially-
nicer than having
Especially
the
because it
tenants.
is fewer tenants, you know. that's-
Correct.
you know,
But this allows, I understand where you're coming from, but like, if they're interior, they're a doctor's office, you might have to have the sign like that. or
Didn't
something.
we just do that when we were reviewing signs on, further down on the post road? This conversation came up because there were tenants on the back side, and there were
Right.
tenants inside, and so
You can't do
You
it.
can't. you can't do it with something like
You can't
this.
do that. Right.
Well, each tenant would have to have the same number Post Road if they were in landing on the post. So, you know, I would think that they would, I think that has to be worked out.
That's kind of, I think, what they're doing with the Darien Place.
Yeah.
Every number in the back is the same number.
Oh,
It's like, I think it's 1077,
by the Playhouse, behind the
The
Playhouse.
Playhouse, yeah.
And so that's another name, and they all have the same number of all the tenants.
But to Dave's point, like, if that building was to be named, like, this has the lawn, the area to support that, but if
Yeah.
all of a sudden we want to put, this is now X and have some sort of a sign code.
Right, like some people just like to name their stuff, like that use the descriptions, and
It
we're
would
very.
look really
strict-
wonky.
Right, I know, yeah.
So where's the regulations on that? Right, like,
I
do
mean,
you
yeah.
need a certain amount of square footage of land in order, that would be my thought, like, or, you know, you can only, but they're gonna maybe wanna pin mount it to the top of the building, like, where does the?
I think, that's what I said, I think planning and zoning gives the permission for this
Yeah, they-
building, and I think they have to work it out.
Yeah.
And we should make some suggestions for
Which
them.
is what you're saying.
Right, yeah, so do we support it or not, I mean, Dave, Mr. Humphrey?
I'm okay with this design on the drawing and the rendering, but I just thought, you know, clearly it's a worthwhile discussion to have, just talk about it in general, you know, setting the precedent for it just in case. I think for tonight's purposes, you know, for this design, it's okay, but like you said, is it a, you know, square footage of, you know, site area that lets you have a separate time? But if you're allowed to have a monument sign regardless, is it just, you know, the option of naming it your development, or is it you're listing the tenant?
That's a good point, sorry.
I don't know if you gotta give people some freedom and flexibility. We've already got regulations on what signage you can put on the site and on the building, what it actually says, whether it's a name of a place or something else.
Yeah, but we
What
There
don't-
may be
if
a
it's an
little bit of
objectionable
variety.
name, like somebody's like, this is super cool place, you know, it's like Xanadu, or, you know, it just.
we are very
Perhaps, but
specific
that is
about-
a design thing, right?
It is, yeah.
We could comment on the name.
It's
But
like, yeah,
I
that's
do
a
think
pretty
it
weird
has to
name,
be,
but, yeah.
it should be based off of square footage of property in, like.
Well, here's
there has to be
Darien
regulation.
Place, here, the old movie house, that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, I don't know that they're objecting, are the elder people, tenants here?
But Marion, is it pin mounted to the front?
Excuse me?
Where's the sign that says Darien?
There isn't one.
No, there's
It's actually another application.
But they are,
Right,
they do want to name it, they want to name it the Darien
They
Place.
do want to,
Yes, pin mount it to the side of
into the
the.
side of the building.
Yeah, like these
Right.
letters here,
Yeah,
look at, this is
exactly.
an example of the
I
letter.
can- Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you.
I feel like there's an unsaid thing here, like that when we see monument signs, that we allow the ability to give a large, like a, more of a site name. I think we've always kind of actually done that unconsciously or consciously, like, I think a lot of our monument signs have general names, and then we
They
list
do.
specific. When it comes to a wall sign or a blade sign, or something more specific, we're saying, okay, now you're actually on a business name if you're gonna be on.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a said rule we have here, but I think that we all unconsciously as a board kind of
yeah.
Well,
given that leeway.
monument sign works well if you're having something like this, though, for a whole building.
I'm fine with it.
I am too.
Yeah.
I have no objection.
I don't like the way it's situated. I wish it was perpendicular to the road. That's my personal thing. I don't like the angle to the road. If it's gonna be like,
Well,
there's a post, do like there's a post.
There's a road coming down here.
I know, but it's still perpendicular, and it's just like, I don't know. It's.
My one comment on its positioning is, it would be nice to add a little landscaping or something around there. I think that's another discussion to be had, but.
Around the
Looks
monuments.
like it's parallel to the angle of this.
Yeah, I think it responds to the
Yeah, yeah,
angle.
so I don't
Well,
see
it
your
doesn't
mind.
have
Okay.
anything around the bottom.
Yeah, that doesn't bother, but it's just kind of sitting out there.
Yeah, yeah,
does
could
that
use
kind of-
something to anchor it into.
Yeah, yeah, something I think.
Let me ask you a question too, in case they might want to light it someday. Is that another, just come back and,
Yeah, I think we can do that administratively now,
okay.
because I think they like a pin.
Because it looks like something nice, you put a couple of lights on the bottom and it shines up, it look really
Yeah.
nice at
Or
night,
pin
yeah.
lights on
Well,
it.
that would have to go for the other ones across the street.
Right,
Is
yeah.
that
All the
something we can
monument
put as
signs
a
are
as a
the
condition
same
like
lighting.
I'm ready. Plantings, right? We were talking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Plantings and lighting to help anchor the,
Yeah,
But you know, there's no, on the base of the building, they don't have any landscaping at all. It's a very
I think
clean
that's gonna
line
happen.
here, you know, it's very
I
clean.
kind of wonder if that's gonna be the case, because.
yeah.
This is just a rendering.
yeah, knowing John, the way he did his last place, I think he's gonna make a beautiful landscape around there. This is, like you said, this is like an architect, just,
Okay.
yeah. I
Well,
would,
then we
But
should
not to dwell-
landscape the monument sign.
Well, then not to dwell on this, if we're matching it just like the other place, and the other sign is perpendicular to this, to the road, and we're creating the sign, same thing, you guys don't think like the angled sign is odd?
I think it's odd. It bothers me.
Okay.
I'd like.
I mean, it
to see
doesn't, if it was its own sign, I could see it, but because we're matching, I'm just putting it out there, I'm curious.
Good comment.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good.
Okay.
how about if we put it not on that angle?
Well, right,
These
Right in
signs are
front.
so expensive, if you do a double-sided sign.
Yeah.
The last one was crazy. So we decided to go with a single-sided this time, and just maybe the angle might be changed, so I could put it in front of the building.
well,
Oh,
Instead
that's-
instead of perpendicular?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the front door is right here with the sign. With
Yeah, something like that.
So right in front of the front door? So then
Or
what you
along
don't-
along
you
the,
don't- There's no walk that way.
horizontal to the post road, perhaps.
So that's parallel to the road?
Parallel to the
Yeah,
road,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying,
More
right
here.
But then it's
there.
also different than the other sign, I'd almost rather see it slanted, it's gonna be different.
You know, that's-
Sorry.
That's what I mean.
All right, pick the lane. Pick the lane.
I just think these two should mirror each other in style and like location and feel, like if they're really being the two and trying to create a sense of community there, I feel like
They
sign
have
should
to
be
work.
sign and versus sign, I mean, that's.
I don't necessarily agree with that,
Okay.
because
I
the
think-
building is a different building.
Oh, yeah.
It's got
Okay.
this,
Okay.
it's got that angular element on it, so I think there's a relationship there.
Okay.
I think visibility-wise, we discussed it, that you wouldn't be able to really see it in that position to make it perpendicular to the street, so, you know, I think you might be too far off to, I don't know.
I think you already got the font and the style of the sign the same, so it's gonna have a relationship, the buildings have a relationship to each other, right?
Right.
It's gonna look great.
That having
usually.
it be unique to this building, this sign, is okay.
You mean at the corner?
They're not
The
next to each
corner
other,
being
so it's kind of like,
single-sided,
yeah,
yeah,
if they're not next to each other, you
Yeah,
can
I
get
think
away with
it's,
something.
I think it's okay.
I like it. This is why we meet in person.
Okay.
Hey, Sean.
Sean?
I finally come to light here. I can't see it all, but do you guys have the address number on the sign or the door or the window for these applications?
Marion did bring it up, and it's not on the other sign, but it's on the building somewhere, so I think we'll make note that John will treat it the same.
Yeah, we'll put it on the building for sure.
Is it gonna be group of numbers, because it's.
Village on Post has an address on it too.
Does it
But
have a
it's-
script, like an abbreviation?
Oh, on top, it's actually like, it's a shape.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like a, I don't want to say butterfly, but it's got its single lines that come in like this.
Does he have a group of numbers? Because it's the whole, it's a bunch of actual numbers he's put together in one building. How does the post office think of that? Do they have to have separate numbers for each particular tenant?
I don't know, because like the Darien Place
Yeah.
has, they all have the same number.
Well, that's what I think has to happen. I think you have to get the post office in there too, maybe. What they
The numbers
want.
will be on the building.
Yeah, they'll be on the building for sure.
But what do you put down? You
I think-
put all the numbers?
It's gonna be suite A, B, C kind of thing.
Right.
Your building is gonna have a number and all the tenants are gonna be suites in the building.
But there's several numbers in that building that were taken down.
Which may be as we did with the Darien Place, we put the numbers on the back parking lot windows,
Oh,
so you don't have to see it on the street.
I like that. Okay, well, as long as it's treated the same as the other building So because we thought it through there, so. Anything else, guys?
No.
Okay, number 29, Evolution Physical Therapy at 351 Boston Post Road.
This is fun.
Hungwell as well.
Yeah.
This is really ugly.
The building, yeah.
Well,
I think that all the colors,
well,
red and white and
I know.
black and,
Is that awning?
That's going,
That's good, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
well, is that,
Well,
that
Is
even
it-
makes it.
well,
well, it looks better without the awning.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
but
wondering.
the issue that is on this building, they took the old letters off, and the facade is like a tin. And when they took the letters
Facade is
off,
what?
it's like a tin, it's aluminum, like behind.
It's aluminum?
It's aluminum, white aluminum, behind where I proposed this blackboard.
Ah, okay.
So it was damaged. So because his logo's white, we wanted to put a black background. We were gonna put boards that cover
So
the
that's-
background. We're gonna cover what's existing there.
And so it's not for the awning, that makes it look better? Or is it gonna be a brown awning?
No, the awning's gonna go. They're taking the awning
Well,
down.
that's what I'm saying, I think it
Yeah.
makes it look better without the awning.
Yeah, for sure. And because his logo is white letters, white on white wouldn't make it, so we want to put a black background.
That's good. I think the sign is fine, it's somehow or other, it's the awning that really got me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird right
So
there.
you are moving the awning?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. They could be, I don't know if it's down now, but
It is.
the awning's gonna go.
Well, it has, definitely says 1950.
Kevin, can you read out specs to me? I don't have a sheet for me. Can you tell me? the full
It's,
specs?
let's see, it's 4 feet by 20 feet, the
Okay.
background.
It's a huge sign.
That's the
Oh,
whole
is that
area up there.
considered-
Well,
that
that's the whole,
considered- Is that the sign or is that?
no,
So
that's,
there's the black
facade.
panel,
I'm just, you know-
that's the panel size.
Okay.
That's just a
The sign-
panel,
the
just-
actual sign is 68.
68 by.
10 inches high.
14.
Yeah.
So
It looks like
14.6 inches.
the letters are probably.
That's just like a construction type of, we just want to make the background look nicer, so we're going to put up 2 boards.
Okay, okay.
Just out of curiosity, you said 2 boards, so there's gonna be a seam, what is the board?
In the middle, like it's called a max metal, it's a composite board. And we'll just mount it right to the existing background wall.
What's separated, there's like a metal fascia type of strip that goes where, like, once you remove that awning, what's there to ground that sign, like how?
That's just like an aluminum frame, like you can see on the bottom of the window.
So it's just the.
So the
storefront.
black is gonna come to the top of the aluminum storefront.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
So
And this is the type of letters we're going to put, the acrylic. And this is the type of E, this would be the color of the E.
Okay.
Is
Just
physical
a-
therapy allowed on there? Is that the whole name?
Is that part of the name?
Yeah, that's their name.
Okay, Evolution Physical Therapy, okay.
Is there gonna be, number,
The address?
the address?
Yeah, I don't think he's,
I'm covering for you, Sean.
No, but this really does need a number.
absolutely. I think I hate it when the store doesn't have a number on it. Drives me crazy.
And nothing on the windows, that's one, like, a very large window on the left of the.
Well, temporarily, or he asked me to put some vinyl stickers up there now.
Okay.
So what's up there now is just a small version of the logo,
Okay.
just because it's such a big window there.
So can't the numbers go in the transom above the?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good spot for it, right above the doors.
Above the door or something.
Yeah,
That's
The building number above the door?
yeah.
Without the awning, you could see it probably.
Are these the guys that do a lot of work with disabled children by chance?
No,
They don't?
I don't think so.
There's
I
physical
can't.
therapy down there does a
Oh,
lot of
that's the other place where the pizza place.
Oh,
was.
it is, okay, there's a great, yeah, okay, I didn't know this was the same, okay.
Yeah.
And
He
it
was
does look
with,
like there's some lights on the fascia above that, is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2 lights up there.
Okay.
I don't think they're working now, but I'm sure he'd like to utilize those.
Yeah, they look
But
like
not-
they're kind of wonky.
Yeah.
They're gonna be moved showing the sign, I presume.
I'm sure he'll get those working to shine onto the letters, onto the sign.
Okay.
You guys are okay with those lights?
Okay.
I just think
If they need to be-
they're off to the corner, so you're gonna be kind of shining across rather
Yeah.
than like if they were
They have to be,
repositioned right over the sign.
Like maybe bring them together, maybe gooseneck maybe?
Goosenecks, or, yeah, I think gooseneck, given the style, this like mid-century modern ugly box building,
Yeah.
it could be like a
It could be just
linear
a
bar
simple,
or
yeah,
something.
simple bar, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah,
Simple
gooseneck, I
bar.
don't think,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, just a
Right,
simple
okay.
a light bar.
light bar
Yeah,
that
right,
shines
okay.
down.
all right. A fluorescent light?
No, LED.
LED.
Yeah, soft LED.
Everything's LED now.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
Okay. I got it, address, lights, moving awning. All good? All right, okay.
And
Thanks,
then
next.
we have Darien Place.
Darien Place.
The last one is
Airbnb.
Stair in place.
Can you please introduce yourself?
One more.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Kevin Kane, owner of Hungwell Signs. We're proposing Darien Place, some letters on the back part of the building, just to let people identify the building. These will be these plastic letters. They're actually really nice. They're
Yeah.
affordable and
Similar to
really.
the others.
This is obviously an old one, but this is an old. This used to be the old
Where on the
International
rear of the
Tile
building
sign.
is it gonna be?
Where
I didn't
the,
get it. I couldn't find that.
Just left of the
Okay, there, got it.
La Taqueria's going in there. You can also see the numbers they put down on the bottom right there? Just the vinyl, just for, I guess that's for the fire department. They probably,
in the storefront?
yeah, see that little thing we just, that's all I did there.
What I'm struggling with more than anything, and it sounds bizarre, but is that the light is below the sign and not above the sign. It, to me, I've never seen
Yes.
signage.
That's exactly what I wrote down. It was just,
It's really weird.
is that where?
It's really weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Well, that was existing.
And wouldn't it want, I mean, I know it's high up there so you can see it from the parking lot, but
Yeah.
if it was below the light, it would be more.
You
So
would-
the
yeah.
light needs to,
I don't think you'd see it.
you wouldn't see it, but like the light,
You can change the fixtures like upward.
exactly,
see-
it doesn't have to be the same fixture there.
You see all the fixtures along the drawing, the architectural
I see the
drawing?
fixtures on the drawing, but
Max
that
and the
like,
fixtures
it-
next door, right?
that's a wall speaks to itself. And to me,
Okay.
it also, the signage is too small for that. It has-
I agree.
Yes,
totally.
it's
And-
proportionally off.
Can we go bigger?
Way too small. and
That's
I
the
also-
restriction in too
Or,
much letters.
you know, if it was to the left or the right of the light, then,
Right.
then it wouldn't be so awkward.
I also don't know why, but the font.
The font looks like they're trying to use the one from, I don't know if I'm right, Kevin, but the one from Corbin Drive.
Oh, no. Is that the same one?
Very similar as the one, the
Oh, the
old
old building?
sign,
Something-
yeah, which is
something that
really
just
cool,
doesn't-
right?
But it fits that building.
It fits that building.
Not really
Something that
this.
doesn't work for me on that.
Well, the light should not be there.
Well, to the point of the size of the letters, I mean,
I mean,
we can do larger than 10 inches if there's a agreement on the board, is that correct?
To me,
Yeah.
to me, it almost
15, I
wants to be
think.
backlit, but that's, I mean, I know that's asking a lot too, but it seems like it would be really cool if it was no light and backlit.
Yeah, nice
And
clean
glowed.
wall.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then the wall would be lit with a bright light. That would be good.
Like
I could see if that's, I'm not sure what's behind that wall, if we could get electric through there, but,
Well, you've got
It
electric.
just would look really, it would look cool and modern and.
So even, I mean, you've already got electric coming to that light. If you eliminated the light and,
it's just tricky, each letter's individually lit, so you have to you have to drill holes for each letter
Yeah,
into behind the wall and run the electric through the wall,
yeah, that's.
which is great, we do it all the time, but I just don't know what this building is, but I could talk to John about that. There could be I don't know if there's anything behind that wall.
unless the letter's set on a line. No, I'm not gonna design it for you.
What kind of channel letters did you do? Other channel letters for the the place we keep emailing about, the garden center. What were those it's just, those
The-
are lit letters, backlit letters.
Right, yeah, which is fine, I just don't know, we could do that easily, but
Oh,
I
it's the
just.
same idea that you
I-
drill each of those.
Yeah, each one's drilled through, I just don't know, which is,
Okay.
we could easily do that, I just have to ask John if what's behind this
Got it. I
wall.
thought those were all one panel. Okay.
Yeah, those are all individual.
I say a tutu, what is it?
Like the, more like a fluorescent, it's like a tutu, like the,
Like, it's
almost like a tube light.
For the shine, a halo lit,
I don't know.
I don't, like I did for Fjord, but that was a box sign, but that was,
Right.
but yeah, I'm thinking, I know what you're saying, you'd want to do like a halo lit against the brick, look nice, right? Yeah.
And did someone say they'd like to see the legends larger?
Yeah, I think it needs to be larger.
I think it does.
You know, it just, it looks almost the same as the tenant signs,
Okay.
and so you lose the hierarchy.
No, you have to make it loud.
I would love it to be bigger.
50% more? Double?
You can
No.
take a photo
So if it's
from
double,
the
then
back
it's,
showing that.
It should run from, in my opinion, it should run almost from the start of the left window to the end of the right window. Above it.
The window above it.
oh, those,
Then
so center it on
on those windows.
these windows.
I
Those
don't
are
know.
definitely
I don't
not.
know, maybe it should be.
Well, you're not
yes,
really-
no,
you're
I'm not really seeing
You're not-
those.
Well, no,
You're
I
just-
think-
You'll never,
use that as
you'll
a
never
reference,
see,
yeah.
you'll never
No.
get that proportion.
No, you're not.
You're not gonna be.
No,
you're just-
no, that shouldn't be.
But at least that big.
Does anybody else want to see a more modern font? This looks like Darien
Yeah.
Sports Shop
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I know, I think
Yeah,
you're right.
not
I
crazy,
agree
the
with
font
that.
is a problem.
There's no consistency on the fonts for the individual businesses. What about the sign on Post Road? Isn't there like a tenant sign there?
Well,
Yes,
We're looking at,
What
to
is-
see.
Yeah, what is the font on that? Is
Kevin?
that-
it's
is that
similar,
something
we could easily pick nicer fonts for Darien Place and propose it to you guys. This is kind of like, this is called brush script, it's kind of boring.
Okay.
This side.
It just looks dated.
Looks average, right, like nothing
Yeah, I
special
just think
about it.
there's so many interesting fonts.
Yeah,
This reminds
yeah.
me of the sports shop.
What, yeah, so the rectangle is the size of the, overall size of the sign, yeah.
Just put a rectangle around.
No, that
That's where it
rectangle
should-
shows
Oh,
the space
That's a
of,
good space, that's a
Yeah,
good space.
Can you,
Do we
Kevin,
have to
can
make
you
it
see that?
louder?
It's like
Can you see that?
50%.
You wanna go-
That's
Down
a
to
50%.
Just give it to Kevin.
Yeah.
Do you want larger letters?
Yeah,
Oh.
yes, that's the
I mean,
suggestion.
large-
suggestion is larger
Larger
letters.
letters and wider.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you said, keep that same distance from the
Right.
edge of the wall to the window
Yeah.
on either side.
Proportionate to that.
Yeah.
To the left. Just.
I mean, it's such a big wall, I totally agree, that was the only restriction.
You're gonna take the light out underneath it?
that's the suggestion and then.
Yeah, I can talk to John about that.
I mean, I'm just bringing it up, or whether we all agree to take the light
Kevin,
out.
keep that.
I have one too.
Okay. Yeah,
I made some copies.
Okay.
Right, thanks. So I'll mention to John, maybe get rid of the light, or put a different light there?
Yeah,
No,
so-
we're good, if they're halo, we don't need a light,
Halo, you
obviously.
don't need the light.
Yeah. And you're gonna send us some new fonts over email?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And then the large size, show us what it looks like on that. Right? and-
proportionally, yeah, for
that'd be
sure.
cool. Okay.
Yeah,
See if you're able to pick another picture from coming
Ye-
further back in the parking
I
lot.
do have like it's a little tricky sometimes with all the cars there, but I do have some, I can do that,
Yeah.
just to see what it looks
Just-
like all
just-
together.
In relation to the rest
Just
of
one
Okay.
comment, and maybe I'm wrong, but if David Genovese keeps that Corbin sign, which is what he's talking about, it reminds me a lot of that font.
Who's the
So,
John?
The cursive font, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
But it's
I don't-
appropriate on
This is
that
the old
building, I think it just doesn't seem right here.
Yeah, I think Dave he is keeping that Corbin though. I think he's moving it somewhere, like putting it on his, I think, right? Along Barrett's bookstore, it says Corbin, really big in cursive
Oh,
on
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah, and I think he wants to keep it, it's like, it's his,
Right.
yeah, it's his identity. I think he's gonna keep it, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
I think he is,
But you're right, so the two do look similar.
yeah.
So what do I just propose new, script?
Okay,
We don't want to do block letters.
Okay.
We'll just I'll propose some new script letters.
Well, unless, is he having this signs, all the rest of the signs are gonna be in a certain type style? Shouldn't the Darien place fit with all the, somewhat with the other
Because they're all-
signs?
Yeah, they're all
Are they individual now?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, on the drawing now, they're the same, that was my
Yeah,
original
all right,
proposal, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure if you wanted to change it, okay.
the La Taqueria is going up soon, it's all finished.
They're all
It's-
there still.
Just in time.
It's got a really cool skull to it, took me forever to cut.
Oh, I bet, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that, about the
Yeah.
detail coming through
Yeah, I
on
know,
that.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, is that it?
That's
New
it.
fonts, new size coming at us? Okay, with
Yeah,
proposed
okay.
lighting, all right. So pretty much a new application.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is fine, I mean, he really likes the idea of putting, the name back there, so we can work with it. Yeah, we'll work with it, no worries.
Okay.
All right.
Um,
Okay, yes.
Hey Liz, do we need a building address number?
I think their address is all over there, because we've seen this individually at some point, right?
It's in the picture, it's in the.
Yeah, it's in the photo,
The,
actually.
Each window.
It's in each.
Yeah,
window?
yes, yeah,
Is in there.
you can see it.
Yeah, see.
You hear that, Kevin?
You see-
Sean?
Oh, something
See
right.
that?
I think the fire department,
Okay, good.
yeah, that was one of the regulations, we had to put the numbers there.
Good.
Okay, so Kevin, yeah, you're good. Are you gonna talk to us about ARB 26?
Which one's
Are you
that?
done?
Yeah, I think so,
Okay,
that's,
good.
is that
Okay,
three?
Yep, that was three, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so ARB number 26, CKC Salon.
Okay,
Thanks, Kevin.
all right, thanks, guys.
Okay. Have a good
They're
night.
not here, right?
They're not here, okay, we discussed that one. Okay, so, approval of minutes, Dave got those up,
Right, Dave Humphrey got us the minutes earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to read them.
and actually, those are kind of important because, Federal Realty is on there. And I did speak to, Patrick Mahone about that, and I think we're speaking the same language maybe in our letters, but like, reading the same, what someone said earlier, reading the same.
Yeah.
From the same sheet of music.
He just was making sure that like he could put together with like the materials, whether he needed metal or whatever founding materials to bring the buildings together, finish them off. And whatever treatments we're gonna do on top, he was still gonna come to the board. Did that read properly in his letter and my letter?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first. What my notes, what I put here was that we approved the 4-color material palettes as they were presented, and then from what I remember, we reviewed the elevations, the plans that were provided, showing where those pallets are being used, and we were okay with the location of the pallets and the layout of the storefront, which was somewhat in flux based on who the tenants were going to be, but we were saying if this is your baseline for pallets and storefront layouts, then we're okay with that, but any changes beyond that.
It was all the other tchotchke stuff that they were
Yeah, the
suggesting.
kitted parts.
It was
The
the
kitted
kitted
parts,
parts,
that
the
was
enhancements
to me, I mean, I wasn't in the meeting, but those were my notes to you. That was what I objected to because it was just everything but the kitchen sink.
Right.
But the baseline was simple.
Okay.
Which I think is,
Which is
that's how I
good.
interpreted what we wanted to do, is
And-
just start with something simple. and
Right.
Then anything that changes from that comes in.
And that's what they can move ahead on.
So if they have tenants that go in and they go into one of the buildings, it's everything that was proposed, those colors, materials, they don't do anything, the signs, part of the signs package, then technically those tenants would have to come through us.
Not because it's.
You guys are okay with that? No, because it might change.
That's what I understood, Liz.
Clarify that, Sean.
I think this,
No, I thought we had given them the simple go-ahead for the, the window mullions and the signage blocks up above, and any tenant that, came in would have to come to us individually for the signs to stay within that sign package of the, building complex.
That's what I thought too.
Me too.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so each tenant's coming back with to us.
Right.
So we're gonna put it all, once it all together.
Around the window.
Ellen said the
And I
kitchen
think
part
what
was
you made a
what's
point the last
Yes,
time was
exactly.
that we wanted a cohesive overall plan that the tenants could really not deviate from, because we didn't want it to be a hodgepodge, and we wanted it to break on the building separations. If you had a retail tenant that crossed over two different building sections, that that would be something they'd have to come back to us for, because we don't want them putting an orange in where black should be.
Right.
That was a big discussion, and the idea was, and I was a proponent of moving them forward, so that they could continue with their design and construction, start buying stuff, but they had to come back to us with the color palette and the individual tenants later.
Right.
And there was the discussion from one of the people at Federal was, well, what about the windows? Because if you all remember, I said, all right, well, get a simple window mullion that you can paint later if you want to save the color. But, you know, you're approved for your window and you're approved for your block over the window, but you're going to have to come back to with the color for us.
Okay, which they're gonna, sounds like they're gonna do anyways, because we basically said, and I can reiterate again, every tenant needs to come back to us. We're gonna look at it, even if it's the same color block and stuff, we have to see it all in one giant setting as it's coming together.
Right.
Okay.
Because we have to make sure that the continuity is continuous and that it doesn't deviate from what we'd originally, approved for them.
What if there's no change to the palette and it's simply lettering and a blade sign?
But don't we want to see that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We wouldn't see any
I would-
signage, I don't think, for that case. We would just, the signs would go through, yeah.
So the
That
signage,
was correct. I think we all agreed to that.
I think the signage package is different from the tenant enhancements.
Yeah.
Because the signage was already
Well, but some of the
reviewed.
signage may be, let's say they have an awning and they want to put,
But
signage
that's
on
an
that.
enhancement, I think, right? Well, I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
how I read
that's one of the
the.
good parts is an awning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
so if they, if they want to introduce that, then it comes.
I
before
would,
us, right?
I would appreciate that everything came from
Signage
us.
included.
Yeah, I do too.
And especially, you have to look at what's next door, who's,
Doesn't have to be a big meeting, but it has to be a meeting, because you can't, every single element of a storefront is, one goes on, correlates to the other, and it doesn't have unity.
Okay. So I'll do I'll reiterate what I said.
I mean, it does, will kind of go against the concept that we attempted to get to starting 2 years ago or something, which was a signage package for large-scale developments, so.
To help streamline it.
Right. So I'm not saying I'm against it, but it's just.
Alex and I weren't part of it, or I was not.
I was
But,
not part
but the good thing
Yeah,
about the signage package, when they came in, like these guys did today, they said, we did the signs according to the package. So we all knew, like, we can't fight this. You guys do what we said you do, so that part is not part of what we're looking at here. So it
Right,
should
I guess
still.
part of the background here to explain is that the concept of a signage package was built to, help the efficiency of large-scale developments, which have a lot of, high volume of tenants, to avoid them coming here every month with a lot of different
But I think,
basic
But
signage.
what
It should
muddies,
go fast. It
what
should
muddies
go
their
fast.
application is the kit of parts to customize each storefront, and
Right,
that
but
actually
that's
is tied.
separate.
Yeah, but it's tied to the brand, it's tied to the aesthetic.
But if they
It's-
choose to tie it to the signage, then that's on them, and it should certainly come to us. But I think the flip side of the coin argument is, if they're simply picking pen letters within the certain square footage in a blade sign, which is part of the approved signage package, is that okay without coming to us?
I
Well,
think
we
it
did
should
say
go,
yes.
I think
We
it should
did?
go,
We did say yes 2 years
So
ago.
we-
That was the
so-
whole point of this.
I think the fact of the matter is that what you did, in my opinion, isn't a waste of effort. Like, it should go faster, right? Like, if they have followed the regulations of what you've put together, it should be a 30-second conversation. It looks great, move on. But I think that if something was to go wrong, there's very little to fall back on. That would be my thing. And as we were trying to say, everything goes hand in hand. And if you're a large retailer coming out of New York and you're putting that money into being in that development, it's not gonna just be a pin sign and a blade sign. It's gonna be something much more. And so you wanna see the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think, they didn't propose the kit of parts 2 years ago, right? So you approved something in a vacuum that you didn't, I think that.
Right.
I understand the efficiency of it, that makes a lot of sense, but what they came back to us with is a whole load of extra, right? That absolutely can customize the brand or in a storefront and in the architecture, and it will look different than what we've seen to date, and it will look different even if they go with the basic sign stuff, because they could still then add an awning, a grill, a tchotchke here, a light there.
It's amazing, too much choice.
And it's gonna look different, so how do we,
Mary.
yeah. It's,
The other question is, are there any other developments that were part of that? I don't remember. As far as.
For signage?
For the signage package, Corbin, did they do anything like that? I just want to make sure if we're
Yeah,
not
Corbin
okay with
had-
it here, then we're gonna have to be not okay with it.
so
in other
Corbin,
developments.
Corbin did come back with, I think we did review a signage package,
Mhm.
but it was, they didn't have all this other extra tchotchke stuff.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Signage package is one thing, tenant enhancements or pit of parts is a separate thing. If they choose to dip their toe into tenant enhancements, that negates the concept of the sign package, and therefore they have to come to us. But
When do we see
And I'll let
they
Wait,
pulled
didn't
together?
Corbin come with just for their temporary signs? Didn't they want to just, I remember that was, but that wasn't for the new buildings, that was for the ones that are, you know, the pop-up shops and the one that's now egg or that whole little section. He wanted to just, for the pop-up signs,
No, Dave came back with a whole signage program for his,
for the whole new.
for the new
thing.
development, yeah. I remember there were blade signs and.
I think we approved the number and location, like the type of sign and number, but none of the details, all the details would have to come back.
Right.
Right, and then
Right,
would come back
right.
to us,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Each tenant would come back to us.
Because he doesn't even
The
know
details
the
of
size
what
of the
we approved for
storefronts,
the
right?
signage
Like, he doesn't even know the
It was-
square footage
that's
that
right.
those people are.
For this one or his?
So he can't.
either one, I think.
I know, yeah, what we approved here, but we.
Yeah, but, like Dave said, though, if they do anything additional, given the information that was presented in the last meeting, you know, whether, you can do a sign, but as soon as you add an awning, then
You're here.
You're here.
you're here.
But
But,
everyone's gonna add something.
Okay, so that makes our job easy, because everyone comes here anyway, but I think then we still are able to be consistent with what was approved, I
But-
think previously, but we should go back and verify.
The issue that they have is not necessarily the signage package, it's the,
Yeah.
all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but they're gonna play, they gotta work hand in hand, like you said, I mean, that when a business moves into one of those storefronts, you know, they're gonna choose to do enhancements along with the sign. I don't,
Yeah.
unless they do enhancements completely separately at another time from getting their signage up, which I don't anticipate, you know, there might be a rare occasion that happens, but.
That would be a risk though. To
Yeah.
me, that would be a risk, that you've now approved a sign and the person comes back and now tries to add all these things.
There is a chance that could happen, there's a chance that
And
we
that
can see
to
people
me,
now.
that to me would be a reason not to allow it, because all of a sudden they say, well, you've already approved our sign and now when X, Y, and Z, it should be okay. I think it could get a lot more argumentative, but that's just me.
Okay, well, for this, and for the notes, it sounds like we're accurate, that we are all on the same page, we approve that each tenant comes back to pitch their design color, every storefront, so we can see it all together.
Yep.
And if there are changes to signs, they come, there is a chance that sign could go through, if their storefront is exactly what was proposed.
Right.
And the signs are exactly the thing, then we wouldn't see that sign would administratively go through, but
But it's the
it sounds like it might
extras.
be more of the rare circumstance.
Couldn't you at least, I mean, it sounds terrible to say this, but couldn't you at least say that you were gonna get that we approve it as a board electronically, so that we at least see it that way? Administratively or whatever, so that,
Yes, we could, I can't remember, I'll have to go back, we'll look at the notes. We approved stuff, it's done.
it just
It's-
it would be nice to see it before it just is up.
Yeah, to give the heads up, just to say, show us what you, in case we see anything glaring. Yeah, I mean, we could say it to federal, they'd be fine with that.
One thing I asked Sarah that I don't think they came back with was, I don't know whether they would have it this early on, but some sort of schedule for tenant designs, and therefore we could see month to month how many we're talking about. Because to your guys' point, I would think the majority are gonna want some sort of customization in their design, because they're spending a lot of money to move into a place, and therefore it's gonna have to come to us anyway, so we might be spending a lot of time on this for, you know, two tenants who want to just move in as is, and therefore, it's not that big a deal, but I haven't seen anything from federal to say you have 10 of these a month, or whatever.
How many storefronts could there actually even possibly be? We're not listening to city block in New York City. We're looking at Manhattan Heights.
I think it's like 30.
Right, like,
What's that?
There's like 30 storefronts.
Right.
40, I mean.
you might get 3 or 4 a month, maybe max.
And then we got the farmers, the main Corbin Road.
Okay, so you guys approve, sorry to cut off, sorry, it's 10 till 10, I know you guys want to move. So, so Dave's notes, Humphrey's notes. Sounds like you represented it. Mary, thank you so much for coming. Yeah, I know, I can't believe it went so late, I'm sorry. Okay, so everyone approve notes?
Yes.
Okay, and then, under other business, Sean, you still want to there, or can we bag this?
If you want to give me 5 minutes, I can either do one of two things. We can determine that it's up for discussion, or we move on.
Okay, well, you have to request a vote, a majority of vote for, to discuss other business.
Well, I would put it up if somebody wants to second it, and they'll leave it up to the crew you're sitting with.
And what would you like to discuss?
We'd like to discuss the modification of the north wall of the new Oxford elementary school. I believe Dave has a couple of printouts of it.
He's passing.
We had,
I can second this motion, but the motion would be for us to vote if you guys are okay to review this right now, or if you want to bag this and do it later.
Is there an urgency to do this now? Can it wait a month?
Dave,
the urgency is that we're trying to, well, let me back up a minute. I sit on 2 committees, the Architectural Blue Board, which, I think I figured out I've been on it for 25 years, and I sit also on the Oxbridge Elementary Building Committee. So I'm their ARB liaison. And what we're up against now is supply chain issues for the brick and potentially the glass and the steel. Which the order time has gone more than double. It's probably getting close to, lengthier than that. So we're trying to shorten the timeline on things that would normally take a month or 2 to evaluate.
So you're proposing?
The ARB has looked at this wall in earlier renderings, and we approved reluctantly the ombre, and what we're trying to do now is convert it to something more educational and long life. And I'm happy to go through it, but you guys have to determine whether you want to sit for 10 minutes more, or you want to postpone it.
It's you guys' call. What do you guys want to do?
I think it's gonna be more than 10 minutes.
I think if they're gonna change that ombre, I'm all in favor of that. Depends what they're changing it to. But I think this is gonna take more
If you want
time.
me to do a 5-minute overview, I can do it just so you all are aware of what the changes are.
Everyone's looking
If
at
you
it.
want to look at it.
I think they're shaking their head like, talk less. Make it quicker. To make it quicker.
So what's the punchline?
The first picture on the renderings are.
Okay, wait, Sean, so do we have a vote to review this real quickly? I need a vote, guys, if you want to review this real quickly or not.
I would not have objections to the redesign.
I wouldn't
Okay, so we are, but no, not a vote about this, are we gonna discuss it?
Oh,
It's been,
Well, we're halfway through it, so I think that's a yes.
Okay, I get that on record,
just
okay,
get
good.
it done.
Okay, okay, on record, we have a two.
While you're looking at the first picture is obviously the approved front entrance. The second picture is approved, what was previously, I would say reluctantly approved, is the ombre brick, the charcoal brick from the base moving up and blending into, I would call it the New England style school brick, going up to the top, which I'm totally opposed to. There's a close-up of that, and it also gives you a close-up of the glass clear story at the very top of that north wing, which is the gymnasium. The fourth picture is the picture of the interior gymnasium with the clear story at the top. When you go to the fifth picture, it shows you the rendering from a distance on the other side of the parking lot. You see the whole wall of no ombre brick, and you see the protrusion brick of, I would say the New England style brick with the big glass windows. And all the way to the right, you see the office window, the kitchen office. The next picture is the blow-up of the gymnasium wall with the glass in it. And the last picture is the inside the gymnasium looking out, or looking down along that glass wall. The protrusion courses of brick on the outside are, I would say, horizontally symmetrical through the entrance to both the gymnasium and cafeteria. And that's really to break up the wall all the way down the length of that wall. We cannot put windows in on the right side because of where the equipment is on the inside, other than where that kitchen office is all the way down to the right. And again, this goes down the hill from, Mansfield down towards the ball field at the very back of the building. So this is going to be a driveway that goes up and down for the buses. And there will be landscaping, trees that are in front of it that we had previously approved. The goal here is to remove the ombre brick and replace it with the glass, and remove the clear story at the top, and also remove some of the metal that was going around that clear story, just put the brick parapet in and the glass windows. And the only thing that's not showing on the inside of the last gymnasium look with the glass windows is the protection fencing, if you will, for the windows so that you cannot kick a soccer ball or throw a baseball at the glass and break it. But those would be painted white.
And is the glass, is that clear glass or is it frosted? What is the orientation on this?
No, the glass would be replaced with the clear story was clear, although drawn, it looks frosty. It was clear glass up top.
Okay.
And it's clear glass for the windows in the wall.
Okay, that's on the north side.
Obviously, it's heavy duty safety glass.
Right. I'm just asking, it's north elevation, correct? That's north side?
That's correct.
Okay.
North side.
All in direct
And it
sight.
faces the school, teacher, faculty parking lot and the bus lane. So the bus lanes are up against the sidewalk against the building, and then the parking lots are, 2 lanes removed in the center. So you come down the very north side of the parking lot with a bus and loop around at the bottom and come back up along the side of the building. So, and there's some trees and landscaping that are going in there as well.
Okay.
But I think the real question that the building committee has is, we really want to remove the ombre brick, and this we think is a very good and acceptable approach. We just want to make sure that the ARB concurs.
I like it better.
Yeah,
I concur as well.
I concur. I think the ombre was already dated.
Yeah, and I actually like the windows better than I like the clear story.
I'm in favor of it.
Yep, okay, you got full favor, you're good. All right, Sean, continue
You guys
on.
are awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, one other note, I did not hear the first 2/3 of the meeting because there was something turned off, but whatever happened, I can hear you crystal clear, and the camera, the image I can see, if you guys want to know, I can see Dave on the left with his red face mask all the way to a computer screen on the right, just to give you an idea of what I can see.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, once I came live, I can hear very clearly, and I think it works well.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. I love that, Sean, that you pushed for us to meet in person and you didn't show up for even the I really have no words for you. You are a raging hypocrite. Hey, I do have one question about that, guys. Do you guys like being back in person?
Yes.
The hybrid model kills me to do this as a person.
I do,
So
so
I need-
much easier to talk about ideas.
Okay.
And
I
there was a lot of,
I just would like the ability, I've said this, the ability to, if needed, instead of going off,
Yeah.
the ability to be hybrid like Sean was tonight, because things come up, at least in my hectic lifestyle, that I will try to be here, but being in person is not always possible.
Okay.
and I have a travel schedule that doesn't always let me
Yeah, of
be
course.
here.
So being able to 90% of the time or 85% of the time being here and 15% of the time being allowed to be remote, but at least being here, to me would be better than not being here at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is so
Yeah,
much.
I gotta imagine the technology.
If you want to hear from the online guy, I will tell you that.
No, you know what? You don't get a vote here, Sean. It's only people at the table, so I'm hanging up on you.
me to speak. It was crystal clear, and I think that it worked well. And I would prefer to be in person, but it does for those who can. It seemed to work really well at the end.
What did you say, Dave Humphrey?
No, I'm just saying, I know it didn't work really tonight, but I would think at some point you could get that sorted out, where somebody could dial in or video in remotely.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, all right.
And just on my other tangent, I know paper is wasteful, but I do like seeing packets, even if we were to pick them up ourselves.
Okay.
Just being able to look at them
Makes a huge difference.
difference, being able to draw on them, take my notes on them, whatever it is. I think I would spend a lot less time on the applications personally if they're just online. But that's just me.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. And I think it's strictly because of how I work, and
Okay.
most of it is, but I totally get the, you can write stuff on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
I just do it in
maybe
PDF.
if it's
So,
possible.
It could be an opt-in or opt-out with
Yeah.
camera.
And it
depending on-
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be someone dropping them off at my house. I'm happy to go pick them up.
Okay, that's good now, I appreciate the feedback. Okay, that's great. It's 9:59. That concludes our meeting.
Great.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Are we gonna get this room moving forward if we stay in person?